Welcome to another day of the BSL, everybody. I am Nyokin, and this time around, I am joined by Mr. Diggity. How are you doing, man?
This, I said it to both you and Zero in the background. This is like early Christmas for me. There was an opportunity to cast an earlier bracket that actually had, or it was the Striker group. I was like, awesome, did the NA team battles. I feel like I'm prepped for this. This looks like an amazing bracket, and didn't have an opportunity because of family matters. But now it's like, the metaphor I want to make actually is it's kind of like in the World Wrestling thing. They had that one guy who's like just the scrub fan who gets to go in the ring. And I feel like that guy every single time. Like, it's just, this is a blitz for me. It's amazing to be here. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, but you're definitely not the Scrub fan. For those of you that don't know, Diggity is one of the original commentators of StarCraft, like from, what, 15 years ago? A long time ago you've been doing it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I dropped out for a while. There was also the shift to StarCraft 2 in between, but now back. My heart was always, it was funny because like when I was commentating StarCraft 2, I'm like, I'm going to be into this so that we can sneakily draw viewers back. So I'm going to sneakily try to draw viewers into StarCraft 2 so we can shift them back to Brood War. And here's Brood War all these years later. I honestly feel like we're in a golden age of StarCraft, and a lot of that is because of BSL. And it's just, yeah, it's amazing. And this is seriously a dream. Like, Nyokin, I haven't been able to cast with you before, and I've always wanted to. So this is early Christmas for me.
All right, well, this will be amazing then. Hopefully it goes as you expected. And yeah, we're in the round of 8 already. Feels like the tournament just started just a couple weeks ago, and here we are. And we've got, two of the best matchups we could have asked for. First matchup's going to be Bonyth versus Sziky. And then, unfortunately for the Chinese fans, we've got a China all-kill, but two amazing matchups coming up today.
I know that a lot of people, I think the heart favorite, I know a lot of people are favoring Gypsy in the Team Liquid poll. I think the brain for a lot of people have been going with Mihu. That's how I feel about it, where like I really want, because NA pride, I want Gypsy, I want Hawk to win. But I think Mihu or Bonyth are definitely the two to beat, and those are two guys we're seeing today. In the first match, I definitely feel like the two play styles going up against one another is going to be really, really, really interesting set of games. And really, I'm almost wondering if it's just going to come down to map selection. But in the second match, it's like coming out of China and just not having enough games to see these guys. I think absolutely anything can happen. So I'm really excited to see those matches as well.
Yeah, not a lot of intel on the Chinese players in particular. For those of you that don't know, actually Gypsy played versus J-Star, who is one of the most famous Chinese players ever. You should definitely check out that cast that was earlier today. If you want to see Gypsy's point of view, definitely go to his Twitch. And yeah, the Chao versus Mihu game is going to be absolutely amazing. Actually, we got feedback earlier. Mihu seems to be dominant in the Chinese scene, so it's going to be a tall task for Chao. But our first matchup of the day is going to be Bonyth versus Sziky. Two fan favorites here. Bonyth always seems to get to the finals. We're going to see if Sziky can actually take him down this time around. And I think Ziky's got a good shot because Sziky seems extremely strong in the early stages of the game. It's in the mid game and late game where he kind of falters a little bit from what I've seen. And Bonyth, of course, he's very strong in the early game too, but sometimes can miss a macro cycle, and that could be all he needs or all Sziky needs to overwhelm Bonyth. So this should be very, very exciting.
I 100% agree, and actually, oddly, I'm favoring Sziky to potentially get out of this match, and I actually think it might. And this is no insult to Bonyth, because Bonyth, Zerg's his weakest matchup, but that's still 2/3 of the games. But a lot of Bonyth's play style, if he's just trying to play standard, I think works towards Sziky's strengths. And so I think if Bonyth just tries to play stereotypical against Sziky might be able to capitalize. And again, I think it's going to come down to matches. I think if Bonyth mixes it up, as a selfish fan, I kind of want to see that one base Reaver play again. But I think if he does just try to just play heads up the way he always plays versus a standard Zerg against Sziky, he will falter. However, I know that previously he had some trouble with Hawk. He was able to 2-0 Hawk earlier. So I'm wondering if there's been adjustments in his versus Zerg play. To be able to just and hopefully there's preparation there. But again, I have concerns because Sziky is so aggressive in the early game, and just some of the ways he stacks up just works against some of the things that I think Bonyth tries to do, that it might end up being unfavorable, particularly on particular maps. I'm thinking Ascension, potentially Aztec. I think Sziky already voted out Revolver, and I think Revolver is one of those matches that was just going to be an instant win for Bonyth. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, maps have already been selected. We've got, or vetoed. I mean, yeah, Revolver was vetoed. Then Heartbreak Ridge, of course, that's instant veto for you guys out there. Instant. That you're never gonna see that map picked unless somebody made a big mistake. Then we've got actually Ascension coming up first, then Wavelet, then Goodnight, then Aztec and Vertebrae to finish off our best of 5. Hopefully we get to the 5th match because we haven't even really seen, I don't think we've seen Vertebrae.
Ro8
The only time I saw it was actually in the Continental battle, NA versus EU. Unfortunately, TT1 was the unfortunate victim of all of those ramps versus DeWalt, so I would really like to see a PVZ on there. You've been casting a lot of Hasu League. Have you seen some Vertebrae games?
I've seen some Vertebrae games back and forth. I think the players have been, I'm not sure how familiar they are with the map, so I think there's been a degree of struggle and strategy around that. I'm not sure what to call it. It almost reminds me of Destination, but without the like ramps. It's some weird combo of a secondary map that what are your thoughts on Vertebrae?
Well, I've only seen it like a couple times, and the first thought was you got to be very careful with your units because there's so many high grounds you're going to be going into darkness quite often. I kind of, I'm okay with the Destination analogy, but yeah, I really haven't seen that many games on it, so I'm just hoping we get to game 5. Oh, we are ready, folks. Ascension is our map, as I mentioned, so let's get into game 1 and start off our series. Bonyth versus Sziky. Okay, in the top middle, the best spawn you could possibly get according to Scan, it is Bonyth.
In the bottom left-hand corner, we have as the red Zerg Sziky.
Yep, so in the bottom left, Sziky, of course, and you obviously watch a lot of Ziky's games because you're talking about how you think he can exploit Bonyth's playstyle. What do you think we're going to see from openers? Do you think we're going to see like a 12 hatch? We're going to be overpooling? Obviously, this is going to be gateway expand from Bonyth because that's just what he does.
Yes. What I hope to see is, so Bonyth, it seems like when he moves in with that Zealot, when he moves in with that probe, typically he's almost always able to get some sort of damage done with it, as in comparison to other Protoss players. I'm almost wondering if Sziky's going to adjust by opening up 9 pool instead of doing something a little bit more passive like the 12 hatch or even the overpool. But the thing is Bonyth likes trying to play aggressive in the early game with Corsairs and sometimes that 7-minute 40-second Zealot push out. And Sziky almost reminds me of like a snake or a cobra. He's looking for opportunities to strike. And he oftentimes, it's like some hybrid of the come at me bro style of Zerg, where it's like, okay, I just want you to send units at me and just come into my sim city, and then I'm going to pounce on you and force you to expend units. It looks like he's opened up with a hatchery opener here. But Sziky, yeah, if you give him too much time, he's going to macro up, and if he has amazing game sense. If he sees an opportunity to attack, he will. But the big danger of Sziky is if you overcommit your units, he is going to surround those units and take them out. And that is, I think, what he oftentimes is looking for in his gameplay. And I think Bonyth likes being aggressive in those early matches. He has amazing micromanagement, but I think he absolutely needs to be careful.
Yeah, we know how deadly those Bonyth Zealots can be. And I thought you called it perfectly because this was not just a hatch first. This was a 9 hatch. And we're following up with what looks to be like an overpool. Yeah, there's going to be the Overlord and then the pool. I don't know if I've seen this opener really, so I'm not too sure how well it's going to fare. It looks like the Zealot is still going to have a decent time because of the Overlord before the pool. Now, the drone has to be careful because it looks like that probe is already knocked off maybe 10 to 15 health. Ooh, look at him dancing him around.
So yeah, I like this build. I've seen it several times across more often actually in Hasu League, but it is one of those builds, and actually occasionally from Crossy, it's one of those builds that's intended to negate early gateway pressure because you can get those Zerglings out a little bit earlier. It's not as economically beneficial as a 12 hatch, but it allows you to get a few additional extra Zerglings to deal with that early Zealot. But that Zealot already incoming, and this is where Bonyth really, really shines, is early game micromanagement with the Zealot, but he is going to be running up against Zikylings. And Sziky is just known for his Zergling micromanagement.
Yeah, and you can see that drone was trying to body block the Zealot to buy some time, but really didn't buy much time at all. And there is that Bonyth Zealot into the mineral line of Sziky. You can see the drones are already stacking, trying to snipe that probe preemptively. Oh, he almost found the probe. I thought he was going to get it for sure. Now the Lings are out, but Bonyth getting into that sweet spot. And behind this, it's not going to be the fast cybernetics that we saw Mini go for last season in ASL. It's just going to be the typical Forge follow-up.
This just shows you the speed and quality of Bonyth's play. Like typically when you see this 9-pool open or the 9-hatch opener, you're, oh, is he gonna? He's still, look at that micro. He still managed to get some Zerglings, but some nice micro from Sziky counter. So 3 Zerglings still surviving. And this just shows you typically against another Zerg player that would have been 1 drone, having a lot more denied time. The Zerglings in the meantime are already going up to the natural. Are they gonna get in? One of them manages to sneak through. 3 Zerglings now inside Bonyth. An attempted probe block at the edge, another probe down, and that cannon warping in, but you still have Zerglings that are going to be able to create some degree of harassment inside Bonyth's base.
Yeah, the Lings are going to be annoying, but because they're not able to get into the main, I don't think he's going to get as much damage as he was anticipating. But to just get 2 probe kills, I mean, that's great for him. I actually like this 9-hatch opener play. It gave him that extra larva, so when he came to attack, he had 4. He didn't just have 2 Lings. So nicely done from Sziky. He negated the Zealot. Now he's done a little bit of damage, and behind this, okay, he does have the standard, gonna be lair follow-up, I'm thinking. I don't think it's gonna be a Hydrogen. And meanwhile, Cybernetics, oh, there it is. There is a Hydrogen. I'm surprised.
I'm not surprised at all. Sziky loves his Hydralisks. He loves his Hydralisks. And actually, I feel like that's a degree of weakness sometimes in his play, where oftentimes when he's going early Hydralisks, he can end up being a little bit negligent and getting his Spire or finding the Spire timing in his play. And I think what that might open up is potential drops. And I think Ascension is one of those maps where, it's based on Blue Storm. You have a big back open wide area. And I'm wondering if Bonyth has that in his game plan, either to get Dark Templar in the base, maybe do some Side Storm drops. I think that's something that's going to be required against Sziky.
Yeah, this map definitely drops are super, super viable. Now, Bonyth moving across the map. His probe has confirmed there's no speed. I wonder what's going through his mind right now. Does he think he can actually get a lot of damage done with these Zealots? Looks like the answer is no, because he's turned them around, but I still like the move out. Moving out of vision of the Overlord, just forcing a lot of Lings does damage to Ziki's Econ. But still no Hydras have popped out, so the probe still has no idea.
I think he's got a big indicator here because I think Sziky was hoping Probe Scout down, but keep in mind that's a lot of Zerglings that have been fielded. So that gives Bonyth a decent amount of information. I think he is going to get that Corsair Scout before Hydralisks in large numbers are fielding to the front. The question is he going to plop down those? How many cannons is he going to get down? And is that how long is that Forge going to stay up? Hydralisks are moving towards that front door. We're seeing Bonyth do a stereotypical follow-up that he does, where he's going that Templar Archives and 2 gates to follow. And I think what's going to be critical is whether that forward Overlord gets picked off or not, and when. Because I think if he can sneak a Dark Templar out on the front, that would be really huge against this early Hydralisk pressure. And this is Ziki's playstyle. He likes getting aggressive and in the face, looking for opportunities to just kill it out in this. I wish there was a better metaphor. It's like a balloon almost, where he's just going to sit there, be aggressive. He could pop at any moment, but at the same time, he's going to, if you leave him alone, he will macro behind this.
Oh, here we go. I thought the Hydra's going to snipe that cannon. I think the cannon's actually retarget onto the Hydra to just knock it down ASAP, but he is still going to be able to knock down this Forge. I've been waiting for some Zergs to actually go back to 973. I don't think this is exactly 973, maybe 962, but we're finally seeing somebody deviate away from the lair opener. Forge is 100% dead, I think. No, actually, the Zealots are going to try and save it. He probably has about 30 seconds left. Usually 7:15 is around the time +1 completes. And this would be a massive pickoff for Sziky, but he's not shooting it, man.
I think he might be distracted by that background Corsair. So Bonyth doing a good job of distracting Sziky, keeping off the Forge for a brief moment. The Zerglings popping, and they really want to stop that Weapons 1. That is a huge shift in momentum. The Forge goes down. Did Weapons 1 finish?
No, it did not. It was like 75% done, so it wasn't even that close at all, really. And luckily, Bonyth has a Forge already built, but it wasn't spinning just yet either. So nice pickoff. He's even going to get the gate too. And okay, now finally these 5 Zealots will push back the Hydras, but the damage has already been done. And I'm loving Ziki's position now.
So I like the decision from Bonyth to go the double Forge behind this. And this is where I was going to say that Ascension might be a map for Sziky in particular, because he loves his Hydralisks. You have that little gap that forces Zealots to group up. And as a result, that just makes Hydralisks all the stronger at certain positions. And we saw Sziky already abusing that. The Zealots now going far away around. And this is what I was talking about. This is kind of the danger zone for Bonyth. If he starts moving Zealots out in this period of the game, Sziky is one of those players that will hunt those Zealots down, take them out, and put Bonyth in a difficult situation.
Oh, well, this was a massive supply block for Sziky. He's stuck at 44 out of 44, and look at his resources just shoot up. So a big loss there. The Zealots still don't find these 5 Hydralisks, but Sziky actually is moving out with the rest of his Hydralisks, so he's going to try and go first round. And at the natural of Bonyth, I saw a Robo already being built, so he must be expecting Lurker follow-up. Zealots are going to engage, but this is not the trade they want. Yeah, they're going to have to turn around.
So Bonyth, I feel like, lost a Zealot, but he really dodged a bullet there. It looked like Sziky was going for that surround. He's still hunting these Zealots down with these Hydralisks and pressing that front door. And this is Sziky's playstyle I was talking about. He's amazing game sense. He looks for those opportunities to strike. When he finds them, he pulls the trigger. So Bonyth backing up into his base. Now I think he might just have to weather the storm. We'll see. It looks like, and this is, wow. So you can, Sziky's so unpredictable as well, is that he's striking, but at the same time, he's dropping a hatchery at the 5 o'clock location. I do worry if Sziky doesn't get aggressive here. It looks like he's going to try to play the aggressive macro game. He's adding 2 additional hatcheries, but Bonyth has dropped double forge. And I think this is the thing he needs to do as a follow-up, is if he can just keep, rather than splitting forces off and allowing himself to get surrounded, if he can just build that big bulk army where Sziky has to basically engage him heads up and get that double forge upgrade lead, I think he's going to be in great position.
Yeah, once the 1-1 kicks in, he's going to have a huge power spike. I like that big drone cycle from Sziky, but it looks like maybe slightly undersaturated in the main, but the rest of his bases, really, really good saturation. Now, the Robo's already out, so this is not for fast lurkers. This is going to be a drop, and I didn't see exactly what was loaded up, but I know Bonyth, of course, loves to go for DT drop comboed with Zealots. Also, sometimes loads up a single Templar. So we may see like 2 or 3 mineral lines just get erased in just a second, and here comes that shuttle.
Man, I feel so smart saying things at the beginning. So the Spire just finishing. It doesn't look like Scourge are going to be there in time. There's not a lot of Hydralisks in the position to defend this, and I think there might be a High Templar in the midst of this. Looks like there is an Overlord overhead. The Corsair wasn't able to harass it, but this could be the defining moment of the match. This could be the moment that Bonyth gets back into it. A Zealot dropping. It looks like there's a Dark Templar alongside. All of the drones are scattering to that natural expansion. Now keep in mind, if there's a High Templar in there and that shuttle manages to sneak around and get there, that could be an absolutely devastating side storm.
Yeah, and you know it has to be in there because that's just what Bonyth does. But meanwhile, he snipes the Spire. Scourger already out though, so this shuttle is not long for this world. Let's see how much damage can get done. Did it unload? Yeah, there's the storm. Actually doesn't kill that many. Meanwhile, the DT gets cleaned up, Zealot gets cleaned up, and the Templar was alive for so long, he may actually have a secondary storm. Oh, he needs 5 more energy. He's moving to the main. Sziky probably doesn't suspect a thing. Like, why would you have double storm already at this point in the game? But actually, he does nicely split these, and he doesn't. Okay, he loses 1, but nicely done from Sziky. And look at the supply, Diggity. It's 85 to 94.
Oof. Yeah, I feel like, so Sziky at the moment is floating a lot of minerals. I think that's okay. I don't think Bonyth is completely out of this match at this stage. I think he's actually in okay position as well as things went, but he did not get as much out of that drop as he wanted to. I feel like Sziky actually defended that rather well, all things considered.
Yeah, I think that was good hold from Sziky, but this is something that people don't think about is look at that natural saturation. The drop, even though it didn't kill many drones, okay, there we go. He did transfer. I'm thankful that he transferred because it always is painful when I see somebody forget about saturation at their main or nat and it's just completely undersaturated, and then later on you're like, why do I have so few minerals? And it's just because the saturation is poor. So nicely done from Sziky resaturating his nat. Looks like we're going to start going into a more passive play because we've got a lurker field set up at the 3rd base, cannons going up at the 3rd base for Bonyth, just waiting for probably 2-2. And for now, this is just going to be a stalemate, I think. Oh, nope, never mind. As I say that, of course, Bonyth's starting to move out.
Yeah, I think actually this is a nice play. I'm wondering if he's just going to stage a lot of troops towards the front. I think it's a mistake if he, again, tries to cycle these troops out and gives Sziky an opportunity, especially if he moves it piecemeal. But if he stays as that big Protoss death ball across the middle of the map and starts, breaking the contained situation. No, is there an observer in the midst of that? Looks like the lurker's pushing that back. I'm wondering if it's on trail. Looks like, yeah, he's got to protect that observer. No overlords in position right now, but I like that he's pushing up into this attack force. Beautiful Psy Storm.
Yeah, really good Psy Storm, but he's going to be attacking uphill into these lurkers. Luckily for him, there's only 5 of them, though, so the Dragoons, I think, should be able to push this back. The Storms are great. Here come reinforcing Hydras, but they get stormed instantly. And look at supply now. It's 120 to 79. I think Sziky actually just got busted here.
Yep, he had that big army. Sziky wasn't able to get in position. This is sometimes where Bonyth shines in his versus Zerg play. And I didn't get to say it. This is the stage of the match where I feel like it starts moving back towards Bonyth's style. So Sziky really good at keeping his opponents off guard and just keeping them so unbalanced that he gets advantages into the late game. But right now we see Bonyth pushing in to what looks like the third. 3 hatcheries right there. Hydros engaging. They're having to attack uphill and Psystorm going down the hill. This looks like a great spot to attack from for Bonyth.
Oh yeah, this is an amazing engagement from Bonyth. Not only is he uphill, the hatcheries don't help Sziky at all. Like, he can just pick off the hatcheries. In fact, that one at the top may fall, lurkers fall. Looks like Ziky's back has been broken. It's 65 to 137 supply. Bonyth is on the brink of taking game 1.
Man, I tell you, so I think Sziky oftentimes on other maps, and this might be why Ascension was chosen, I think it was chosen by Bonyth, is oftentimes when Ziky's in this situation, he tries to rely on his SimCity to defend at that stage, and there's GG, but the SimCity is not there on Ascension, so brilliant play from Bonyth, and that's exactly what I wanted to see out of him. He adjusted his play. He noticed the late Spire. I think that's why he opted for... Really, when you think of Bonyth, you think of shuttle play, where other Protoss players use them like darts. He uses it like a broadsword, right? And it's just beautiful to see the micro there. And I really think that drop really was that pivotal moment that shifted momentum, that kept Sziky on the back foot, where he wasn't able to do his typical thing and get aggressive against his Protoss opponent and just able to control the game from there. Great play from Bonyth all the way around.
Yeah, it was amazing play, and because of, like you said, the Spire being so late, I mean, he doesn't have to build Corsairs. He can scale into faster Gateway Army. He doesn't have to worry about his Templars getting picked off at all. So you can see, I mean, when you don't have to watch your Corsairs, how effective Storms are. You just like, boop, boop, just pick off everything left and right. And Sziky, who I thought had a great opener, just all of a sudden, Bonyth just turned it on, and that wasn't even the 2-2 power spike that I was expecting. That was still 1-1.
Yeah.
So what a crazy play from Bonyth.
I think what this also shows is that Bonyth prepared for Sziky. He actually looked at Ziky's play style, and I think I felt like a genius. I'm like, here's all this stuff I'm laying out that I'm hoping to see, and that's exactly what I saw. So that's always a nice moment as a commentator. I'm like, yes, Bonyth doing what he needs to do to win these matches. And I think it should be fun from here on out. What I'm wondering if Sziky in adjustment, realizing in the midst of this, I'm wondering, depending on maps, I guess, I'm almost hoping that he moves back more towards that 4-hatch Spire Hydra play, because I think that would actually suit his playstyle as well. I don't know if he's practiced into that. Typically, he likes sitting on the, not the exact 973, but something 973-ish, kind of a balance in between. So I don't know. We'll see if he adjusts in game 2. I think the way Bonyth is rolling right now and the adjustments that he's made to particularly, it looks like, take on Sziky, I'm going to favor Bonyth from this point on, unless Sziky does something special moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, if we think about the opener, right? Like, he got 4 lings in, he killed 2 probes. I mean, that's a decent trade. He killed the Forge. I mean, what else are you really looking for from an opener like that for Sziky? I mean, that's great damage. I'm very worried. Like, before the series started, I thought, okay, well, Ziky's got a shot here. But to just be simply dominated like that, I don't know, man. Bonyth just always turns it on in the BSL. But I have to say, that drop, that was a lot of lost mining time. Like, yeah, he didn't kill that many drones, but those drones in the main just weren't mining for so long. That could have been really what did Sziky. And also the 44 supply block. Everybody knows Hartos is always crying about the 44 supply block, but that was super painful for Sziky there. He floated almost 1,000 minerals. Oh, that hurts.
The supply block particularly hurt, and I think that was also a window where Sziky prefers to be aggressive, which is why I like that drop in particular, because it forced him into a more defensive stance. That's usually when Sziky is like wanting to pay attention to something else on the map. And so Bonyth having that drop, even if he's not doing massive amounts of economic damage, even if it ends up being somewhat of an even trade between like gas and mineral or whatever, and even if it's just delayed mining time, I think just the flow of the game that gets interrupted there ends up being advantageous towards Bonyth. Just executing that. And I think, I'm not sure if that's just Ascension specific or if that's going to be a trend we're seeing in the games down the line.
Yeah, we'll see if Bonyth wants to continue that trend. Remember, our second map is going to be what you're seeing right here. It is going to be Wavelet. We have not seen that many games on here. This should be very, very cool. Let's get into game 2. This is going to be the second game of Sziky versus Bonyth. Okay, in the top left in the blue, looking very strong after game 1, it is Bonyth.
In the bottom right-hand corner, we have as the red Zerg Sziky.
All right, so Wavelet. We were talking about Vertebrate earlier. What are your thoughts on Wavelet here?
Wavelet, this is again selfish fan talking, but I feel like maybe the reason that Bonyth's Zerg versus Zerg is his weakest matchup is only because he can't get Shuttle Reaver into this matchup. You have to kind of sneak it in here. And part of it being a 4-player map, being potentially a larger macro-oriented map, I don't know that it's actually an effective strategy, but selfish me wants to see him go Corsair Reaver on this map, especially at a cross-spawn position like this. I don't know that he's going to do that, but I really, really, really want to see a Shuttle and a Reaver on this map out of Bonyth.
I'm just listening to you talk, and I just keep thinking, like, am I hearing myself talk here? Because I also want Sarah Reaver. I've been talking about it for several seasons, man. I'm like, is this the legendary Sarah Reaver game that we might actually see? I so hope we see that, but I don't know if I've ever seen Bonyth play it on stream. Of course, I've seen him play Reaver Scout, and we saw him use that versus Eon Zerg a couple seasons ago. But yeah, I mean, it would be amazing if we see Sarah Reaver, but I have a feeling we're not going to see that. Now, I thought we might actually see this 9-hatch overpull again, but it looks like this time around, Sziky's going to go for 11-hatch, probably 10 pull.
Yeah, I think because it's a 4-player map, because it's larger distances, he's probably opting to go for more of the standard 11-hatch play. My second question is does Sziky do any adjustments to a standard play style? Because this might allow Sziky to play a little bit more comfortably. He's not playing out of a 9-hatch opener. I think he prefers the 12. I think most Zerg prefer to feeling safe out of that 11 or 12-hatch opener. But my curiosity is he going to make adjustments to what Bonyth did in game 1? And is Bonyth going to do more of the same as well? Again, I want to see Corsair Reaver. I don't think it's going to happen. The second question also is going to be around scouting, because it is a 4-player map, and oftentimes Bonyth does get those sizable advantages when he's able to get that initial Zealot in his opponent's base. Right now, that Zealot able to do initial damage. It looks like Sziky able to get into his opponent's base and scout it out almost immediately. But I don't think this Zealot's going to be as effective just because of the 4-player scope of the map. So that might be, at least in the early opening stages of the game, a slight advantage for Sziky.
Well, the Zealot, because the probe was not able to find Sziky just yet, ends up backing off. So not going to have the Zealot getting into the main this time around like what we saw on Ascension. Wonder how many Zealots Bonyth is going to accumulate before he decides he wants to move out onto the map. For now, he has not moved out, and there we go, 3rd hatch at that close 3rd base, and looks like it's just going to be 4 lanes for now.
Yeah, this is one thing that I do, so hopefully my mic volume's better. I'm hearing some complaints about that. Hopefully Sziky is able to take out this probe scout. This is one small weakness in his play at times, is he'll produce those 4 Zerglings, and I'm not sure that he's being negligent per se. It's just sometimes he doesn't take care of that probe scout. And the big advantage for Zerg in this matchup is when you can put your opponent in the dark and make them question what you're doing, whether you're going that 973 where you're going something more aggressive. In the meantime, looks like Bonyth has gone ahead and tacked on a gas and his Nexus behind this. The Zergling's actually pressing the front. Is there a gap there? Are they going to get through again?
Yeah, they do get through the gateway, of course, but 2 probes and a Zealot on hold position on the ramp. Not going to have any access there. The probes have been pulled off for quite a lot of time, so that's nice damage done simply by building these links. Oh, cybernetics at the front. That means there's no forge, so he's going to be scaling into that heavy tech quite quickly, and he's already up to 4 Zealots.
Wow. So this is a bold move by Bonyth. And on top of that, he's just showing it straight up to Sziky. He's like, yeah, that's a cybernetics core on my front door. So get ready. And this could be the matchup I was absolutely hoping for, which is the important aspect being Zealot micro versus Zergling micro. And these are really, in the foreigner community, the top 2 players, in my opinion, in that field. And so it could be, I think if we get, I'm just hoping we see it, a big engagement between those Zerglings and those Zealots. And that could be the decider. And the question is who's better in that field? Are the Zealots better in these initial engagements or not? In the meantime, it looks like that probe is going to be able to cycle around. This is getting that critical bit of information. And again, that probe, just been there forever. Oh, a Spire opener. Rare for Sziky. So he's going to actually, it looks like, go 3-hatch Spire in the midst of this. We do have a Stargate in the back of the base, though, already being built.
Yeah, Stargate is halfway done. So it's, I think, pretty normal, or somewhat normal timing actually, versus the Spire opener. The Cybernetics was not mini-esque in the sense where he's like putting it down at the 3-minute mark. This was like a 4-minute Cybernetics. So slightly faster than usual, but nothing absurd really, I don't think. The probe got taken out, but I mean, the probe was out in the map until the 5-minute mark. I mean, that's pretty much the dream scenario for him. So I think nicely done from Bonyth there. Drones are being pumped out left and right from Sziky. He's really scaling his econ. And we saw a Citadel in the main. So I think that this is just going to be standard opener. I don't think we're going to see like a gateway flood, but the probe is in position. Maybe we will see a couple of gates go down.
I actually like what we're seeing from Sziky's side, and this is what I was hoping the adjustment would be, is it looks like he is going to go into that 5-hatch Spire first, potentially Hydrogen to follow build, which gives a lot of flexibility. And it does tend to lend more towards the style you oftentimes see out of Hawk and out of Striker, where it's like more the come at me bro style, where it's like, I'm just going to SimCity up, I'm going to macro up, I'm going to play a little bit, play very, very tight, and you come at me. One thing though in that play style is usually you're relying on your opponent to just not have the micro to really punish any of those bases and just get caught in the SimCity. Bonyth is one of those guys where he can punish that. It looks like the Corsair already engaging the Overlord, the natural at that natural. Might get a kill here. The Scourge, they're going to hit it.
Oh, I can't believe that second Scourge didn't connect, and that means that the Corsair will probably get away just knowing Bonyth's micro, but Sziky maybe, oh, the juke is real, and he does get out of there with his life. Now behind this was a second gate coming up, and I didn't see Templar Archive started for Bonyth just yet, but he was mining his gas, so whenever he does put down that Templar Archive, he's going to be able to pump out a lot of Templars quite quickly. I think that was it just right there. But this Zealot move out should be pretty strong because he's been banking so many Zealots. He may have something like upwards of 9, and +1's going to kick in around at the 7:30 mark, so I think now's the time to go.
Yeah, I also like having this kind of, looks like we have some more Corsair out there. I like the Scourge being able to sneak into the Scout. Brilliant play there, but that Scourge getting sniped by those Corsairs. So yes, Corsair is spotted, but a lot else was not scouted. Which, granted, I don't think that's going to throw Sziky off that much, but I think it's going to be sufficient. The Zealot's now starting to move out. This is the timing that I think that Bonyth likes, is that 7-minute 40, and I've seen multiple instances in the past where Sziky's actually faltered in this, but the way Sziky typically deals with this is exactly this, going for a backstab opportunity, sneaking the Zerglings in, one cannon going down. It looks like Bonyth just going to try to pull probes off the line to deal with this, but in the meantime, the Zealots are careening towards that 5 o'clock base.
Yeah, the cannon's going to come up, and this may be able to shoot down all these lanes before they get into the main. Okay, well, one gets in. It does confirm this is 4-gate follow-up, but this is a sunken, and a lot of Hydras already pumped out. 8-minute timing, I mean, that's extremely slow for Protoss these days, and this attack is not going to work. However, supply still pretty in favor of Bonyth right now. It's 75 to 58. But yeah, that Ling run-by did a decent amount of damage, knocking down a cannon and then disrupting the mining, and also getting a complete scout off. That's fantastic for Sziky.
Yeah, those Zerglings, and this is what I mean by Zergling micro Zykylings. It's just fun to say that, Zykylings. Just going and having that backstab opportunity and delaying those Zealots, everything worked out for Sziky in that engagement. And I think oftentimes in his versus Protoss play, there has been a degree of weakness around that 7-minute 40 Zealot timing. And at this stage, just completely shutting it down. Hydralisks now pumping in. A Dark Templar on the front and no Overlord in position, though. So I don't know how much damage is going to get done. It looks like, is he even going to get? Yeah, I don't think he's going to get that Cybernetic score. A bunch of cannons worked behind this. But in the meantime, the Corsairs have been running loose and wreaking all sorts of havoc. The main Hydralisk force being out of position. It looks like an accidental self-drone kill. Take that, drone. But these 6 Corsair running around, and I think Bonyth actually in a pretty good position here, actually.
Yeah, Bonyth's position, I think, is fine, but Sziky does have, 6 hatches up and running. This is a little painful to lose your Cybernetics because, of course, the Dragoon Power Spike would be coming in a couple minutes. So to lose the Cybernetics, that's almost 50 seconds there. That delays range for quite a long time. This is going to buy Sziky a lot of time, actually, where he's not going to have to deal with an incoming attack. We actually saw +1 weapon already done for Sziky, and he's feeling confident in his position that he's just going to take mid-right.
So I actually really like this style of play in the mid game for Bonyth, which is to move those Corsair out to have a lot of Zealots that you can throw maybe somewhere potentially. Move those Corsair out, keep that Overlord count down, keep the Hydralisks occupied, and then play from there. But Sziky being very brave. Yeah, it looks like he's already got a drone at that 3 o'clock location to grab additional base to continue the macro game. Looks like he is supply capped again. So Bonyth doing a good job with this, but more Hydralisks being fielded. But the critical thing here is with these Zealots moving out, are they going to find air? And you can see there's just no vision on the map currently for Sziky. He doesn't have eyes on them. And I like this style of play from Bonyth.
Yeah, and you can see that the drone count at the third base is a little bit low. Unfortunately for Sziky, those 2 drones aren't mining, and that's so painful. Okay, luckily he does scout it now and fixes that. But Bonyth went across the map unscouted, like you just said. And these stairs are killing so many Overlords, man.
And this is where it's really hard for a Zerg player to adapt to this. It's like, okay, he finally got an edge of that, and I think he completely missed the army because he was too busy dealing with those Corsairs in the background. Some Lurkers morphing in on the front. I don't know that there's an observer with this, but I think they're going to be able to catch that. Oh, he needs to move because, out of position, some Corsairs taking some damage in the background. Bonyth diving into that natural expansion. Huge Psystorm on that clumped up. He's so patient with that. Some Hydralisks trying to move in from the back. Those 2 Psystorms expended. I don't see an observer in this attack force, though. The Lurker dying before it is able to burrow. And the Zealots, though, going to back off, try to re-engage that Zealot army. I think this was... So Bonyth not getting as much damage. Honestly, for a second there, I'm like, is the natural expansion going to get completely breached? This is Sziky's playstyle, though, now turning around and hunting these Zealots. This might turn around into a potential disaster situation.
Yeah, I thought Bonyth might actually just kill him there, but the Lurker's just barely in time, and look at supply now, it's 105 to 100, and as I stated, the Goon timing is super delayed, like it is way far away, range probably halfway done, so Sziky has a phenomenal position right now. He can comfortably take mid-right, and this is where Sziky gets super scary. He's got all of his bases running, he's got so many hatches, he's got great upgrades. All that's really lacking is like Queen's Nest. I mean, 4 base Zerg versus 2 base Protoss, who just lost their first 2 Templars too, and you know there's no incoming Goon attack for a little bit of time. This is fantastic spot for Sziky.
Yeah, that is the essence of Sziky's playstyle right there, is if you get your opponent to overextend, when they overextend, crush that army and play the game from there. And if you, that's what I was saying at the opener, is if Bonyth plays Sziky into Sziky's play, in that exact situation, Sziky's going to have a lot of success. However, I don't know, this is Bonyth, and Bonyth's Bonyth. It looked like he's going to go ahead and grab his third. I'm not going to count him out of this match yet, just because this is again where I feel like the shift moves more back towards Bonyth's playstyle.
I think this is actually going to shift towards Sziky in a second, and the reason I say that is because that third base is so tiny, but if Bonyth sits up there, it opens up the natural. Well, we may not get to that point. It looks like Sziky and Bonyth are going to engage in the center of the map. There are so many Lurkers clumped up right here. Okay, those are great storms. Actually going to push back Sziky for now. Meanwhile, Bonyth's starting to scoot over towards the bottom side of the map. Looks like he may try and engage that third location.
I like what Bonyth's doing. He's keeping that ball cohesive. He's always very, very patient with those side storms, and I think that can be the difference in this match is how much he is able. And yeah, I think you're right. A lot of these expansions are very clumped up. You have a lot of Lurkers in a batch. I think that's Sziky's best engagement point to the north, but Bonyth just walking straight around at Hydralisks, engaging from the north. The Lurkers traveling, but they're not burrowed. Some side storm, not hitting a lot there, and Bonyth now backing up, and he's just going to try to trail. The Zealots are engaging the Hydralisks on the front, but this is another situation where Sziky potentially, if he micros this really well, could get a huge surround on Bonyth's army. I think the difference is going to be on those side storms. Blanketing side storms to the south currently. More Lurkers moving in from the north.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, all those Lurkers set up, and they're getting huge hits onto those Goons. Lings are going to clean up the Goons also, and Bonyth's army is going to get wiped out. Of course, he dealt a lot of damage, and look at that timing. I don't know if you just saw it, but +2 just kicked in for Bonyth. What an anti-timing. So unfortunately, he hits right before +2. Sziky's gonna hold this attack. Now, Bonyth's still in a fine position because he got his third base up and running, but I did notice the +2 power spike was already up and running for Sziky when that attack happened.
This is kind of a dangerous situation because he does have 3 bases. He's starting to move out and take that 9 o'clock location, but this is an opportunity if Sziky decides to seize it. And I don't know what he's going to do in this situation. Is he going to come macro up, or is he going to get aggressive and start trying to play that contained style? I'm actually wish I could see his just flat out number of drones at this stage of the match. But right now, economically, he's got 4 bases up. Bonyth trying to catch up and grab that 4th. And I don't know. I feel like Sziky's looking good. He's got 2 huge engagements that have worked very much in his favor. I think exactly what he's looking for in this matchup. I like that he's the choice of his Lurker setup. But Bonyth moving out once again. We're going to see another big engage here in a second.
Well, it's going to get dicey for Bonyth pretty soon because Hive is done. You know, Adrenaline's going to be coming in pretty soon. Defiler Mound is already almost done. Here comes another engagement. Yeah, you got to back off, though. Those are lurkers, dude. And behind this, Sziky is setting up to take another base at top right. Meanwhile, Bonyth has decided he's going to take mid left, but supplies are so close, there's no way that Bonyth can actually engage this army, but he's going to try again.
Oof. Okay, so he's moving into that 3 o'clock location. Sziky, a little bit, he had his foot off the pedal. The lurkers are out of position. And so if he follows this army up, is he going to be in time to save those hatcheries? But oh my goodness, brilliant engagement from Bonyth. So just, I think, maybe just trying to bait those units down. Only takes out that sunk colony, but has just Psystorms that obliterate everything. I know that in the little, the fun matchups is like, oh, it's superhero stage. They made Sziky Thor, but really the God of Thunder here, clearly Bonyth.
Yeah, and Bonyth did more damage than I was expecting. I thought that with Lurker set up at mid-right, Sziky would be able to easily clean it up, but he didn't have any Lurkers there. Good repositioning, though, to limit the amount of damage. But now, actually, we have a supply lead for Sziky, and generally, that means Protoss is in big-time trouble if that happens at this point in the game. No cannons are set up just yet. Sziky had a moment of opportunity to knock that down. And look at this, Diggity. Top right is being taken, while also bottom left being taken.
Oof. So it looks like Sziky is starting to macro up. He's already in a split map situation. He's already starting to, it looks like, put down the gas pedal on the macro. He's got that Defiler Mound out. He's probably going to be behind in the upgrades, but Adrenal Glands can make up a lot of room in that space, particularly on engagement. So things are going to get dicey for Bonyth in a minute. He really needs to do more of what, I mean, if he can keep up that positioning and force Sziky to engage him in those pockets where he can drop massive amounts of Psystorm, he might add, oh, we got a shuttle out there. I'm really hoping to see some, yes, okay. If we can see Bonyth with Psystorms, I think that just makes for fun. Trying to move up, clear, so actually face planting with that Corsair to clear out some Scourge, trying to clear a path. This could be the deciding factor for Bonyth, is how much success he gets out of this potential storm drop.
Yeah, and he's got double Robo, so he's going for a lot of harassment, potentially a lot of Reaver play. We know Bonyth loves his harassment-based style, but that means his army's going to be a little bit smaller during these big fights. And this army went undetected to the left side of the map, comboed with Dark Swarm. This is a dead base. Now, what does Bonyth do? Is he going to turn around, or is he going to try and bust somewhere? Looks like the answer is he's going to try and bust mid-right, but he doesn't know Sziky already has 2 more bases at top right and bottom left.
Yeah, I feel like in an exchange situation, which might be happening here, Reavers, yes! We get the Reavers in the midst of this. We got it! Moving in, so this is going to have Bonyth. It feels like the game picks up, so I'm just going to say, like, even though I feel like Sziky's in a great situation, I'm just happy to see Bonyth able to sneak Reavers into this game. Even if he wipes out this 3 o'clock, though, you're right. He's got 2 additional bases. Zerg can always rebuild drones rather rapidly off sufficient amount of hatcheries. And I think this hurts Bonyth more, losing that 9 o'clock location, especially with his Bane close to being mined out, if not mined out already. And I love that Sziky actually added the Swarm. So many Zerg players will not utilize Swarm when there's just massive Dragoon armies out there. And I think it was really heads up of Bonyth, I think, detecting that the Swarm, I don't know, next level game sense, detecting that Swarm. He's already got Reavers right there to help deal with it. So he's clearing out the 3 o'clock. However, he's also lost that 9.
Yeah, but this was a big win for Bonyth. Okay, he's just going to counterattack. I was wondering if he was going to try and save, or not necessarily save it, but clean up mid-right, but he's decided he's just going to go for a huge counterattack. There's almost no AoE here other than maybe a single Storm and 1 Reaver. The rest is just pure Zealots. There's the Dark Swarm, and Sziky is just streaming so many units across the map. Meanwhile, there's a big clump of units at mid-left that I wish he would sync up with the rest of his army. There's the harassment that you were talking about. Reavers into the Nat, but they get taken down instantly.
Oof, okay, so it looks like he was able to scoop the second Reaver back up. He was able to drop and kill the... But man, this is turning into an exchange situation. There's nothing defending the 1 major mining base for Bonyth, and I think if this base goes down, that is going to end up being GG. There's Swarm there with Sziky, with Lurkers. Let's see if he... And I don't think he wants to walk up into this. The Reavers are very slow to walk up into that location, and moving up the Zealots, they're just going to eat a barrage of Lurker Spines.
Yeah, a great storm there. Blankets a lot of the Lurkers. I thought he was actually going to kill his Observer, but luckily he saves it. Oh, Shuttle, is there anything in it? Okay, a Reaver was in it, so that was a good pickoff there. Defiler is still alive, though. There's a Dark Swarm that gets placed in the middle line. Goodbye, Probes. Oh my God. See ya, Probes.
I think that capped it. I think Sziky's going to take this match now. You could see the desperation on Bonyth's part to try to get his reinforcements at this location. You just had units just streaming up there, piecemeal, coming in one at a time and going into a gap that he did not want to go in. That base is out. Bonyth now has to worry about retaking that. In the meantime, Sziky is free to expand and drone up absolutely everywhere on this map. Look at the supply counts. But here's the thing. Any other player, I'm like, done. But just knowing that Shuttle and those Reavers are here, I'm going to hold out hope for Bonyth here in this match.
Yeah, if anybody can make a miracle happen with a tiny army comp, this is the guy. Bonyth is going to end up cleaning up his third base. But look at that mineral income from Bonyth. I don't know if you noticed that, but it went up 8 minerals, and that's it. That means he's mining on 1 patch right now. Okay, take that back. Yeah, he's mining on 2 patches. So completely mined out pretty much is Bonyth. He has to make a miracle happen. Lings are going to clear... Oh, no, they are not going to clear out that Reaver. But Sziky... He still has, what, how many bases? 5 bases up and running?
He's got a massive economy. I think he can just honestly do the rally thing and just start swarming units that direction, just constantly just hitting that while kind of just humming to himself in the background. At this stage, yeah, Bonyth, you're right. He has to pull out a miracle. He needs to hold that base. He needs to keep that up. He needs to somehow do some counter damage. It looks like Plague is out as well. This could be the thing that would help that. A shuttle moving out. Unfortunately, this is a base, even if he manages to get kills, there's not a lot of mineral patches left, so I'm not sure how much damage he'd be able to wreak. This is at least a distractionary attack. Is that a Dark Templar that was dropped there?
It was a Templar that got dropped. And all the drones clumped up, I thought that they were going to get stormed to death. But in the end, oh my god. Are you serious? We're just going to hide there? Okay, let's see about this drop. That's a Reaver drop. Okay, get some Lings. I mean, that's a huge hit. And now all of a sudden, Sziky's... sure, he's still mining top right and bottom left, but it doesn't have the saturation that the main Nat and third base has.
This is exactly what Bonyth needs to do to get back in this match, is just go around, be annoying, distract Sziky, keep him from being able to saturate the bases he has, and yeah, get his own economy rolling up in the background. Looks like that shuttle was taken out. 24. However, 24 kills on this Reaver. That is what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, dart for other Protoss, absolute broadsword for Bonyth. Incredible.
Yeah, and that Templar at bottom right is still alive, overlooking the ledge. I am waiting for him to get off a storm. Oh, are you? Why would you send a Ling there? I don't know, but Sziky ends up finding this Templar. He gets a storm off. He gets a couple of drones. Sziky's probably thinking, like, what the heck? Where did that come from? Meanwhile, third base finally up and running, but Bonyth's supply has plummeted somehow, even though he has a huge army. What happened to his probes?
I'm not sure what happened to the probes in the background.
The lurkers obliterated the third base. That's what happened.
Yeah. Looks like there's just a skeleton crew for Bonyth. I feel like regardless, he's got the moral victory. These shuttles, man, this is, again, Sziky sometimes doesn't have enough Scourge in the air. Like on, whether other Zerg will just always have a Scourge just ready to go to shoot this thing down. Sometimes this is where a little bit of weakness in Sziky's play, because I think he likes being so Hydralis focused. Sometimes he doesn't have something to deal with this. And this is where that could be an advantage. As I say that, that shuttle gets picked out of the air. I do want to feel like there's a little bit of a moral victory out of this for Bonyth. I think at this stage of things, it's going, if he can come into this, I would be really, really impressed. But I think he's just trying to wear Sziky out at this stage of the match before going into game 3.
Yeah, the Artosis victory, the conceptual victory is headed over to Bonyth. I mean, he's not out of it, of course. However, versus players of Sziky's caliber, when they're able to triple expand, like mid-right, Nat at top right is being taken, Nat at bottom left is being taken. He's now up to like 8 bases or something ridiculous. I mean, you're just not going to come back from that. Bonyth is going for what he should be going for, which is the super comp. Try and sit there and trade as effectively as possible, but he just doesn't have it. He's being doubled in supply. He doesn't have those Reavers anymore. I think he only has 1. It's just a matter of time now.
He's got Reavers, some Archons, but I think there's a psychological aspect to it too, where it's like, yeah, you managed to get me to this state of the game, but even then, it's this hard to kill me. And I think that actually does end up playing, especially in a tournament situation like this, where it's like just forcing that mental expenditure of energy, even in an overwhelming situation like Sziky has right now. It looks like he's just a few moments off 200 supply. But yeah, I like this play. Unfortunately, yeah, it's just going to be a handful of Plagues, a few Dark Swarm, and enough Zerglings. That should be sufficient to end it, I think.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the end. Look at that streak. Is it July Zerg, man? He's sending a huge army across the map. There's like what, 3 Archons, 2 Reavers, a few Storms. I mean, oh no, actually there isn't, because Bonyth moved across the map at the worst time, and that means he's going to lose everything.
I love casting with you, Nyoken, because that was my exact thought. The moment I saw that mini-map, I'm like, this looks like the game with July Zerg in it. You've got the Sauron swarming Zerg going in, units absolutely everywhere, Dark Swarm there. It looks like he's able to defend that third, a good Psy Storm though. However, Zerglings are starting to breach the main.
Imagine if Bonyth had a better econ. Like, he actually saved his third base right here. I don't know how, but he ends up saving the base. He's still attacking, right? Like, he has his army across the map. He may end up... Oh, no. I thought he may end up killing that base, but that's so many lurkers. GG comes out, and we've got a tied series, Diggity.
Yeah, this is the quality of matches I was hoping for here. And this is why I was really excited about this series in particular, because I like seeing these two guys and their playstyle going up against one another. Sziky showing that he can win against Bonyth. And I'm going to be honest, on maps like Wavelet, on the 4-player large maps, I was actually thinking it might be more advantageous towards Bonyth's potential playstyle and what Sziky tends to favor. But here, Sziky winning it and showing that, yes, I can beat Bonyth, and I can beat Bonyth. Not only did I beat him in a really convincing fashion.
Yeah, I mean, he just straight up out-macroed him, and he crushed him. He had better positioning. I have to say, the initial attack with Bonyth with the Zealots and Templars, if Sziky was even like 5 to 10 seconds with those lurkers late, I think Bonyth could have won there, because there were so many Zealots. There was like 3 or 4 Storms available. But regardless, good timing from Sziky there. And you can see what happens. Like, he just explodes after that. He was on 6 bases. I mean, it's just fantastic macro play from Sziky.
I'm wondering if he's going to stick into that 4-hatch, I like calling it the come at me bro style, where he's going to do that 4-hatch Spire, Hydralisk, more defensive style moving on, seeing that he had so much success with it in that previous match. The one thing moving forward is, again, where I have seen weakness in Sziky's play occasionally is on that 7-minute, 40-second Zealot timing. And I'm wondering if Bonyth can keep the Zerglings cleared out. There, he dealt with it very, very well. And I don't know if that's going to be indicative of Sziky's just cleaned up that aspect of his play, or if that's going to be one of these situations where, I don't know if he lets his guard down. But point being, I still feel like there's opportunities. The series is still going. And I'm curious to see how Bonyth is going to adjust going into this game 3. Do we know what the map is going to be?
Yeah, next map is going to be Good Night, which is actually my favorite ladder map right now. And unlike Revolver, even though this is a new 4-player map, this is not extremely Protoss favorite. I know a lot of people were saying Revolver is like a free win for Protoss versus Zerg. Yeah. This should be a very, very good map for both players here. We've seen 2 different styles from Sziky so far. We've seen the 9-7-3-ish build, and then we've seen the Spire build this time around. You seem to think that the lurker defensive play is working out better. You think we're going to see that again? I
think that's what's going to work better for Sziky against Bonyth in particular. I think he's more comfortable, however, in that Hydralisk play. So I'm wondering if he's going to switch it back and go for that Hydralisk opener once again with that 9-7-3 being that it is a larger map, that it's not Revolver where you can sneak into that natural expansion. I think that's the... Actually, is there... Speaking of Revolver, let me get your opinion on this. Is there... it's a really interesting map. Is there a single matchup that it doesn't disrupt just the straight up meta? Can you think of one? Because I feel like every single meta across the board, there's some disruption. And I was actually... I've been ranting about this a couple times. I guess we should pull out of that because it's like we're moving on to the next map, and we should focus on these matches in particular. But it's one of those things where it almost felt like it was like the Korean map maker showboating a little bit, saying like, oh yeah, 9-7-3 is a thing. Let me show you a map that completely disrupts all of the metas across the board. But speaking of map making, Good Night, I believe was the winner of the New Worlds map contest. Be sure to check that out. And also in the background, I'll do a reminder again, be sure you get in the voting for the Russian Cyber Games cheerfuls in the background here.
Yes, that's going to be coming in the break, so you guys will definitely get to see that. And yeah, Revolver, that is an interesting map. Let's just say that. I have people like run by. I'm like, dude, you know there's only one tiny gap that can be closed off by one worker, right? Yet you still go for the run by. And of course I have nothing there. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong on that map. Also, the natural is kind of hard to defend, like build turrets. But yeah, it is definitely a unique map. When people were telling me this is like Protoss favored versus Zerg, I was like, You're lying. You're lying. And then I see the statistics, and it's like massively favored. I don't know if there's even another map that's Protoss favored versus Zerg. Actually, Ascension. Ascension is favored for Protoss too, I think, but not as much as Revolver. But oh, we're actually going to go to a break, and then we'll come back with Game 3 between Bonyth and Sziky. All right, guys, we're back, and you should have just saw the voting screen. For those of you that are boomers like me, and we're unaware of how to use it, there's a Vote Now button on your screen. Just click that and select which cheerful you want to cheer for. And I think that's all there is to it, right? I mean, I voted for number 2 there.
You just kind of slide. You have a little Vote Now thing. If you go over the screen, it should pop out of the right middle section there, and you should be able to vote on what you're looking for. I don't know. I voted for one. I kind of like that one. Maybe it's just because I like that meme a bit. Not to say I don't love Lord of the Rings, but just, I don't know. I always find
Oh my gosh, Lord of the Rings.
But
or were you there when Gypsy goes off on me about Lord of the Rings?
I missed that.
Okay, yeah. Well, we were talking about favorite movies, and I am not a big fan of Lord of the Rings. I went
Really?
The first time I went to see it. I went to a friend's house for a sleepover for his birthday, and he was playing it, and I just fell asleep, man. Like, all they did was walk. That's all they did. The entire movie was just walk. I'm like, is there more to it? Like, I am not a big fan of that movie at all. And Gypsy he's like, oh my God. He just is not, he's not a big fan of me after that.
So are you like the Michael Bay fan where you need the explosions on screen constantly just to stay awake?
No, I'm not even that type of person. It's just like all they did was literally walk. I'm just so confused. And it's like a 3-hour-long movie too, right? Like, it's super long. Oh,
you saw the extended edition too, so you weren't like, okay. That, yeah, I think part of it is maybe it's the on-ramping, where if you see the movie, the edited movie first, and then you see the extended edition, that might help. Because yeah, a lot of walking is part of the. It's one of those things where it's a book fan thing. Like, that's part of the entire narrative of the story, right? That it's like this big journey and it's arduous. And so you're right, there's a lot of walking to it. But I could see where, yeah, if you're a sleepy kid going over to sleepover, you want to see people getting their heads chopped off and stuff. And so it's like, yeah, these guys just going over grassy fields constantly, just knock you out.
Yeah, it was just not for me. But you know what is for me? This series, man. Bonyth vs Sziky. I mean, game 2, that was incredible. Sziky knocked it out of the park in game 2. Of course, Bonyth knocked it out of the park in game 1. And we've got a 1-to-1 series on our hand. And I saw in the chat, and you even mentioned it, Bonyth APM is going to spike now because now he's in super serious mode. You know he does not want to be knocked out in the round of 8.
I think Bonyth is one of those guys that when he gets more focused, the more pressure that's on. And I think dropping a game, I'm expecting, the Zealot micro to improve, everything to improve, actually. I think he's just that sort of guy. And we'll see how Sziky responds to that accordingly. I'm almost wondering and I think this game's going to be telling. I think this game is going to be whether we see it go to a game 5 or particularly, or a Sziky win, or if it's going to turn into just a 3-1 situation for Bonyth.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a must-win here for Bonyth. He's going to be down 2-1 if he doesn't, of course, but then the 4th map is going to be Aztec. And even though I remember him stating that, Aztec, not so bad for Protoss versus Zerg, I still think Aztec is a great Zerg map. So I think this is going to be a must-win here. Otherwise, Sziky might actually knock out Bonyth in the round of 8. But we may be getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves. Let's see if Sziky can do it on good night. Game 3 coming up just in a couple seconds. All right, in the top right, our Protoss player, it is Bonyth. Or bottom right. Sorry.
Bottom right. Bottom left-hand corner. As the red Zerg, we have Sziky, and this is on good night. And I think I 100% agree with you about Aztec, particularly in this 973 era, in that inverted ramp. If you end up, I don't know, maybe Bonyth has something up his sleeves, but I think this is a must-win game for him. And I didn't think about that aspect, that Aztec's coming up and you're dealing with Sziky. You're not dealing with a more passive Zerg player, where he's going to sit in a more defensive 3-hatch play. He is a guy that is going to get aggressive and is going to test that natural expansion.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of make or break for Bonyth. But, there's a reason that he won, 3 or 4 BSLs in a row? I mean, you can never count this guy out, but this might be one of his first true tests in the round of 8. There we go. We, of course, is going to see another gateway expand. We've seen, I think, 9-gate all series long. This looks like it's going to be another 9-gate. Meanwhile, I've got my eyes locked on what is Sziky going to do. I want to know whether it's going to be another hatch opener or if we're going to see something like an overpool. Ooh, overpool? There we go.
Overpool. I like that play from him. Again, Bonyth so strong with his initial Zealot and Probe as he's moving across the map. It looks like he's got the Probe. He's going to get first scout, which is actually huge. because it looks like he's going to bottom left first. I'm looking at the mini map to detect that. But Bonyth is so strong with that initial, he just has that laser focus where it just seems like you see a pile of drones group up together in that defensive clump, and it's like, how could you possibly pick out the one weak drone out of that clump? And somehow Bonyth manages to do it again and again and again. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Bonyth Zealots are one of a kind. I mean, he is just immaculate with them. And this time around, this is going to be the first time we see a pool opener. Luckily for Bonyth getting the first scout, he of course confirms it. I wonder if we're going to see a pylon block here. Good job delaying the hatch regardless. Actually, that probe might die. He's got to run, man. Oh, almost gets it.
And I almost wonder, so the probe's cycling back around. Actually, it looks like they're running enough minerals to plop the hatch, but a nice degree of distraction there for Bonyth. But critically, losing a lot of health on that probe. And that probe is actually critical in Bonyth's aggressive approach with these zealots. And I'm almost wondering if Bonyth actually going to move out with that zealot, knowing that it was a pool opener, and also knowing that that it took a bit of damage. I'd be ill-advised generally, but I don't know. We've seen crazier things. Looks like we have a full cadre of Zerglings out on the map, hunting that probe down. And this is the difficult. It looks like one of them splitting off. This is the difficulty now for Bonyth. Yeah, it gets taken out. So he's in the dark now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was like, diggity, can you imagine if Bonyth lost his probe at like the 2-minute mark, a 2:20 mark, and we just saw it, he lost it at the 2:50 mark, versus someone like Sziky, who's already shown, oh, he's going to catch this zealot. Are you serious? Look at this Ling control. Body blocking with the one in the back, and okay, he does manage to get the safety, but that is nice damage done so far. And of course, Bonyth is in the dark, like you just said.
Yeah, Sziky Ling. Sziky, as amazing as Bonyth's Zealot micro is, Sziky also has incredible Zergling micro and just an incredible game sense to be able to jump on units. It looks like he's going to try to breach around. Gets the Zealots, the Zerglings breach as well, so only gets one Zergling through. But still able to go up there and having that one Zergling in the back of Bonyth's base, that is annoyance he does not want to deal with.
Yeah, and Bonyth has no idea what's going on. This could be Hydra bust, it could be Lair, it could be anything. If this is Eon Zerg, I mean, you gotta be very, very careful. So we'll see what Sziky wants to follow up with. So far, seems like it's going to be... Actually, he already got speed because he is sitting at exactly 100 gas, so that means he already used 100 gas somewhere. So we may see another Ling run by like we saw in Game 2.
Looks like the probe is able to get to that natural expansion somehow. Wow. The Zerglings, let's see if they're going to be able to wipe it out. But yeah, instantly killing it. Bonyth in a lot of trouble here, in my opinion, because Sziky has incredible game sense and is one of those guys that will win games, oftentimes even in the dark, against his opponents. And here, he's got that Zergling scout, seeing absolutely everything that Bonyth is doing. Looks like some probes in transfer. They're going to ignore that Zergling for now. But this gives a lot of opportunity for Sziky. It's almost like having a platter. It's like, okay, how do I want to engage Bonyth here in the mid game? And I know he's going to be aggressive. That's just Sziky's style.
Yeah, behind this, it was a Lair follow-up. The Ling actually dies, and that's kind of a bit of a misstep from Sziky there. One Ling, sure, it doesn't have the biggest output, but it is super annoying if you can even just force probes off the mineral line for a little bit of time. And you can see that instantly triggers Bonyth to move out, but remember, he's got a few Lings, and that triggers a counterattack, but nice probe block. Can any of the Lings get in? The answer is yes.
Sziky again. So how does he find these times? Had the Zerglings in there. It looks like he's trying to disrupt the gas. This suggests to me that he's going to go for muta play to follow this up. Now, keep in mind, Mutalisks, it takes a while to kill those Zealots, and so we are going to get to see, potentially, the Zergling versus Zealot. Sziky has to play this very carefully. If he overutilizes, he might get a little bit too greedy here. If he overutilizes his Zerglings and builds too many of them, he might not have enough larvae to get out whatever additional tech he has in the background that he wants to field. The Zealot's now marching to that natural expansion. The Zerglings looking to engage. The drone's coming off the line, getting a decent amount of disruption, but it looks like those Zerglings are going to get cleaned up. So, well, actually, I take it back. More Zerglings flooding down, and it looks like, did a single drone get killed there? And Sziky turned around and did some damage in Bonyth's main.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any drones actually died, and behind this, that 2 Lings disrupted a lot of the mining there, and all of these Zealots get cleaned up, really just forcing Lings, and that's it. And behind this, drones are already being pumped out. He doesn't even get into the main to confirm what this actually is. Of course, he should know that it's Hydras, but I mean, I guess he could be hiding something very sneaky. More Lings being built, and okay, finally the Zealot is going to get in here, but
I think this might be game right here because Bonyth actually pulled because of that Zergling harass, because of other situations, he actually pulled a lot of units out of gas in the meantime. So he confirms Spire here. He does manage to get that first Corsair, but, and actually that was I take it back. That was actually a brilliant play by Bonyth. He got enough gas to get an initial Corsair, got the rest minerals to kind of boost economy otherwise, and now he's transitioning. But it looks like Sziky is starting to switch back to that 4-base play. I'm almost wondering if he gets an initial Scourge, if he builds a couple Mutalisks here, if he still might get something done. But I think he's going to go back more towards that come at me bro style that we saw in the last match.
Yeah, but I'm looking at supply, another massive supply block for Sziky. It's been like 20 seconds now that he's sitting at 35 out of 35. He can only produce like 2 or 3 Mutalisks because of how blocked he was. Even though he had 500 gas, ends up only being able to build 2 mutas and okay, thank you. There is a little bit of justice. I'm like watching it like, how can the Sayer kill the Overlord and get away again? 2 mutas into the natural. Hasn't killed a single probe yet, but again, lost mining time for Bonyth.
And I think also because of all of that harassment that happened earlier, we didn't have the preventative pylon down, we didn't have the cannon down, and that's allowing Sziky to go ahead and harass with those Mutalisks. It is actually, Bonyth is lucky that there was that supply cap there. If there was not a supply cap and there was 5 mutas right there, that would have been game potentially, right there in that second. Instead, Sziky looks like he's going to go ahead and plop down a Sunken Colony, back out, and potentially macro behind this. But he still needs to be aware because Mutalisks are in the field. Looks like he does have a preventative cannon there in that background. But if I almost feel like 2 bullets were dodged by Bonyth here, where Sziky could have taken this match.
Yeah, it's just so razor thin at this level. One mistake can be game changing, and I agree. Like, maybe he doesn't outright win the game with the mutas, but he would be one-shotting probes, which is a huge deal, and it's going to force all those probes to go evacuate to the main. Like, they can't just sit there and just lose probe after probe after probe when you only have 1 Corsair to defend. Now, meanwhile, 5 mutas are moving out to intercept these mutas. There's a decent amount of Scourge to make sure that the Sayers can't engage, but these Zealots, they're really not going to get anything done.
I'm wondering if these were almost sacrificial Zealots on Bonyth's part to go ahead and distract these Mutalisks to buy himself some time in the background. So just moving out a little bit, trying to be out in the field, trying to distract. Because I don't know how much damage 3 Zealots was going to get done at any of these expansions. But once you have that Zealot running in, it just takes a long time. So obviously Zealots don't attack air. That would be crazy if they could. But in the meantime, it just makes those Mutalisks engage someplace that is not Bonyth's base.
And Bonyth's power spike is so delayed. This is his 3rd gate at 9 minutes. A lot of times when you're watching pro level play, like all of the gateways are already done. If we think about the game that we just saw on Wavelet, like he had 8 gates done by now. So this is a very scrappy game, and Sziky did a lot of damage to him. Supplies are what? Is that in favor? No. Yeah, in favor of Sziky, 75 to 70. Sziky is in a fantastic position right now.
I like Bonyth's decision to go ahead. Oh, that's a lot of Scourge out there. If he can get a really good engage with these Corsair, he might find a way to get back in this match, but he needs to catch these Scourge out of position where he gets a positional fire on it, and I think he needs to defend over a cannon. We have High Templar back here, I assume with Storm to try to defend this, but that is a big air fleet moving in. And honestly, with Sziky's economy, the way it's rolling right now, he might just be able to just do a complete air control flood here and play from there. It looks like, and this is a weird thing. I think this shows Sziky usually goes for a kill in this situation, in my opinion. And it shows you the respect he's showing Bonyth by actually, despite being in a big advantage, despite being in a situation where he might be able to close it, hold that thought. Scourge, wow, just engaging back and forth there. But instead, it looks like even though he's applying that aggression, he's still sitting back and choosing to macro up behind this.
Yeah, and meanwhile, of course, Bonyth has an attack of his own across the map, a single DT, but it gets spotted by the Hydras and Overlords. Okay, yeah, I was wondering if he's going to continue to build Corsairs, and the answer is yes. This time, he's going to shark into the main. He's going to pick off a couple of Templars that were not able to morph into Archons, but he may bleed off a couple of Mutalisks to these cannons.
Looks like 1 Corsair down. Didn't look like the rest of the Scourge connected. That was actually a lot of gas lost for Sziky, but I don't think he's too concerned about that because he still has that preventative air fleet out to negate the effectiveness of those Corsairs to be aggressive and slow his economy down. In the meantime, he is running at 4 base, so soon to be running at 4 base. So that's going to be 4 base Zerg with a supply, well, it looks like about even, but supply lead here and there going into the mid slash what's soon to be a late game. Yeah, I feel like Sziky's in a great position.
Yeah, and the mutas confirm the gateway count too, so he knows there's no impending Doom Dragoon push coming out anytime soon. Ziki, I don't know about this mineral only. I mean, that seems a bit ambitious because also Protoss has high ground right there. But if he can set up like a lurker contain outside the natural or Hydra contain, I mean, maybe Bonyth just flat out never gets there. I mean, look at Bonyth's army. It's pretty tiny. What is it, like 6, 7 zealots? 8
Yeah,
zealots?
Yep. It looks like he's got okay upgrades. I don't think he went double forge. At least I haven't seen a forge around here. But now Zeke's starting to press that front door. Just not giving Bonyth breathing room. Yeah, he Psy Storms, but that was only, what, 3 Hydralisks that were Psy Stormed in the midst of that? Forcing these Zealots off the line. The Mutalisk's going to push in the midst of that to pick at them. And I think Zeke, yeah, he's just going to keep cycling these units back and forth. Zeke hasn't been slouching with his upgrades in the background, so it feels like he's got a sizable army. He's got, he's not that behind in the upgrade count. He's got Bonyth pinned back to 2 bases. Things are looking great, but we've seen the situation before with Bonyth, and he somehow snuck out of it. So I'm wondering if that's going to happen again.
Good control from both sides, but the Zealots are, I think, going to barely overwhelm the Hydras. Maybe that's another storm that gets a couple of Scourge and Mutas, but the Ser count is so high, man. It's at 8. And it does manage to survive. And now, okay, actually more Lings and Hydras and Lurkers moving across the map. This is a dangerous situation for Bonyth. He's got to get control over his natural or outside of his natural. Otherwise, Zeke can set up an unbreakable Lurker contain.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering how much Zeke's even dedicating to this Lurker contain. I'm wondering how much he's just wanted to be occupied. Great swarms on that left flank of Hydralisk, catching it. Looks like a little bit of a Zealot, but backing out immediately. He does have that Observer overhead. Lurkers are planting, but the Zealot's very rapidly able to get us around right there. This is desperation time for Bonyth. He needs to, yeah, make sure that these units do not get purchased up on that high ground. Zergling's still engaging these Zealots, and how did Bonyth do this? Now moving out the Corsairs, now that those Hydralisks have been expended, this is almost Bonyth taking a chapter out of Zeke's book where his opponent is overextending, obliterating that army, and then turning around and getting aggressive.
Yeah, I think that was a big overextension, and now actually Zeke's in a bit of trouble because I saw the first goons pop out, and with 8 Corsairs out on the map, I mean, any straggler overlords will just be erased in an instant. And, oh my god, he found a huge clump of overlords, and this is exactly what Bonyth needed.
Oh, and this is what I was talking about. Like, I think we saw this in previous matches versus Crossy, for example, where it looked like he was pinned in and he just wasn't going to be able to how was he going to win? How was he going to win? And Bonyth somehow just managing to wreak havoc everywhere on the map with even smaller counts. Zeke in the red with these Corsairs just obliterating absolutely everything. And now that expansion is going to be a liability because Zeke needs to defend it. You're right, it's a double inverted ramp. And Bonyth looked like he managed to field a decent-sized army. So I wouldn't be shocked if Bonyth can go ahead and grab that mineral only, hold it, and potentially, I don't know that he even needs to go up and kill anything, but just be aggressive and force Zeke to expend a lot of energy trying to defend that mineral only.
Just now, Zeke becomes unblocked, and he was banking so many resources. It bought so much time for Bonyth. Now he's going to get that mineral only up and running. He's got critical mass goons, critical mass storms, and zealots. He's even confident that he can double expand. He's going to take mid-right in just a moment. What is lacking? Okay, actually that forge didn't get picked off, so it ends up still being alive. He's going to start his +2. I don't know if he has another forge in his main, but he is at 1-1 upgrades. Meanwhile, unlike, there's only Lair. I was going to say, unlike the Wavelet game, this is not like a high follow-up. This is just pure Lair Hydra Lurker. And I think Bonyth is going to be feeling pretty good versus this, especially if he can get up that mid-right base.
Yeah, I feel like Zeke dropped the ball a little bit here. Yeah, he grabbed additional expansions. He's kept up with upgrades overall, but he didn't go double evolution chamber behind this. He hasn't proceeded to Hive. And yeah, it feels like opportunities. And now he's starting to push out and be aggressive. And I don't know, I feel like Bonyth is finding room to get back into this match. And actually, I think he's starting to pull ahead potentially. Let's see if he can hold this third. Zealots trying to defend that. Or is Bonyth going to dedicate forces or just cancel this Nexus behind it?
I think he's going to try and, well, he's not going to save the base, but he's going to come up here and engage the army. And that does buy Zeke some time. However, he's going to lose maybe like 10 Lings, 10 Hydralisks. But it was like 130 supply to 100 just a moment ago. Now it's 160 to 130, a little bit better scenario for Zeke here. +2, still not done for Protoss. I think Zerg is at +2, or at least should be at +2 by now. But look at that Dragoon count. It's like 20 or so. If he can get onto that high ground, I just don't know how you actually engage this as Zerg.
Yeah, it feels like Bonyth just macroed like just Bonyth macro. He just finds those moments, and this is kind of, I guess that's where that focus went into, and that, oh man, this drone getting scouted in the upper left. I don't know. I think Sziky was like, okay, let me go ahead and try to expand. He's going to try to rescue it. He's moving some overlords. I don't know. The Scourge get taken out. There might be another overlord donation here to those Corsairs, and engaging in the meantime. Yeah, this is what I was hoping to see earlier. Bonyth just needs to hold that high ground. I don't even know that he needs to move those zealots onto the low ground with this, but I don't even know that needs damage. We can just help with some side storms, engage, move back into the high ground. This is a great engagement point for Bonyth.
Yeah, I feel like we're watching Ascension game all over again. There's so many Dragoons, so many Zealots, there's so many Storms, but actually Ziky's doing a good job to defend this with only 3 Lurkers and like 2 Sunkens. The Sunkens in the back deal a lot of damage to any unit that overextends here, and maybe Sziky actually can hold on to this, and if he does, top left is going up. That would be a 5th base for Sziky. It looks like, is Bonyth really out of Storms already? Oh my god, Lurkers in the back!
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, hold this position as long as you have storms and rain some destruction from there. I don't even know that he wants to take that. So basically, Sziky just has to constantly dedicate Larva and defend this and just, yeah, hold that high ground. Keep that positive engagement. However, if he ends up losing this army, that would be an extremely dangerous situation. More Sidestorm walking in, obliterating these Hydralisks. I feel like this is going to be a great situation. You can see Sziky having to go down the ramp, engage from the low position, and the Sidestorms are just coating everything in the midst of this.
Yeah, but the Lurkers and Hydras are getting onto a lot of the Dragoons. However, Sares are here to save the day, try and kill off all of these Overlords. They're not dying as fast as I was anticipating. Corsair count looks like it's at just 5 now, and I think Ziky's barely going to hold on.
Even with that holding on, I feel like that was pretty decent exchanges. We still have a 20 supply lead for Bonyth. It looks like he's going to back out with his Dragoons, which I think is a brilliant decision here. His natural, and in that midst of time, yeah, Sziky took upper left, but in the meantime, it looks like Bonyth was able to secure that 3 o'clock location. So I think, yeah, it's going to turn into a macro versus macro match from here.
Yeah, looks like the 2 armies are going to face off again. That's another great storm hitting almost all of the lings there. And he gets a couple of the Hydras too. Meanwhile, what? This guy's a madman. You see that at top right? Like, dude, he doesn't even have control over the map, and he's like, you know what? Top right, that's mine.
Dropping a Nidus Canal there, and honestly, it almost looks like he's walking to expand into the... I don't know how much of this is Sziky trying to deny the 5 o'clock location. It's almost like he's walking in to take it. That's the way he's positioned. But if he can just, at this stage of things, keep army supplies even, just be absolutely everywhere, if you can get good engages, I don't know, this is starting to look like almost a guerrilla-style Zerg all over the map. My concern, though, for Sziky is just raw unit count. He is behind, 40 supply? And keep in mind, Bonyth's army is looking just big and powerful and decently upgraded.
Yeah, he's got, I mean, Sziky has some of the best movement that I've ever seen from Zerg players. Like, he constantly goes for backstabs, but he may have overdone it a little bit. Like, I don't know if he's going to get busted anywhere because of how sizable Bonyth's army is. But it does buy time for top right to actually get up and running. I'm surprised Bonyth hasn't sent anything over there just yet, but he's content looking for some base to bust. He's maybe the natural? I mean, when you have this many bases, you have to reposition your Lurkers so many times, and they're so, like, you know, overextended. It's hard to defend everywhere, but Ziky's doing a great job so far.
This is actually my favorite little bit of StarCraft, is where it's just like this chaotic thing of what is happening on the map for both players, where you have Sziky expanding absolutely everywhere. You have Bonyth threatening with armies and Psystorms at various positions. He's taken that 3 o'clock. Bonyth needs to find a space to expand. It looks like now he's marching in. He's found that upper right-hand base. The Zealots are there, but this is a big army moving in from Sziky to defend it. Now keep in mind, but there's a Dark Templar there. I don't know that that's going to be sufficient to help defend it, but the entire army now careening to that upper right-hand corner. So that base is not going to survive. Is Sziky going to go for a backstab, though?
Well, he knows that if a Nidus gets up there, you know, that might be lights out, and Bonyth may never be able to retake that base. I like how Bonyth split off some of his army, because if he had sent all of it and Sziky knew about it, because of how well Sziky repositions his army, you know, Sziky would have instantly gone for a killing blow like we saw in the Gypsy versus Mihu series. As soon as Gypsy saw Mihu was out of position, just went and killed his natural. So nice move there from Bonyth to split off his units. But with top right getting wiped out, that means Sziky's going to take bottom middle. We've had another big engagement into lurkers onto the high ground. This time around, Bonyth going to have to back off.
And actually, yeah, I think at this stage, also Bonyth needs to be very careful. Oh, Battle Drone gets annihilated under some Sidestorm. You can see Sziky hunting with those Scourge for that Observer to hold that high ground. Is he gonna? He's got a drone in position to take that base. Yeah. He's expanding into Bonyth. I was like, it was a half meme that I was saying like, oh, he's positioning as though he's going to take that base. He's really going to expand into Bonyth at this stage. I almost feel like that's the base he just wants to hold back and deny both players. But I guess if you're going to defend, if you're going to deny it, might as well take it for yourself. A couple Zerglings flooding out here. The supply count just about even. I think the upgrades are still, last time I got a look, we're slightly in Bonyth's favor still. But this is, Bonyth needs to find an expansion right now. Sziky is still mining, and I think that's going to be the critical thing. And then Sziky, I think, just needs to not get run over, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, Ziki's on like 6 base mining just because of how Zerg plays out. Meanwhile, Bonyth is just on 2 base mining right now. Oh my gosh, all the units are out of position for Bonyth at mid left. Meanwhile, big Ling Lurker attack comboed with Dark Swarm.
I love seeing Sziky with the Dark Swarm, but Bonyth, yeah, retreating this army. It looked like he was thinking about maybe pushing an attack to the 9 o'clock or other locations. The Zerglings engaging, it looks like the Zealots are able to get on top of that, but losing Dragoons, now the reinforcements coming across, more reinforcements of Lurkers look like they're going to be able to sneak in that Dark Swarm. Some Sidestorms being dropped. I'm not sure how much is getting caught under that Sidestorm, but some Zerglings waiting in the gates to take some High Templar off. There's also, I don't know if Plague's upgraded, but look at the supply counts in the meantime. 180 supply, Sziky with a big lead. It looks like the tide is turning.
Yeah, it was like 180 to 180 a moment ago. Let's say 125. This looks like a Terran versus Protoss fight because of how fast those units just instantly melted. Third base, goodbye. There's nothing that can actually engage these Lurkers under the Dark Swarm. And now we may see just another huge flood like we just saw on Wavelet.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that Sziky brought the Dark Swarm with the Lurkers, just because it makes these bases so vulnerable if you don't have Reavers in position, if you don't have Archons, if you don't have Sidestorm in position. And even if he doesn't take out this Nexus, that probe line is getting devastated.
Oh.
Yeah, they're just having to back off entirely. And right now, yeah, and Ziki's still mining behind this. Bonyth in a desperation situation, in my opinion, trying to grab that upper right-hand corner. And Sziky already responding to it, flooding a bunch of units to that. And now it just, honestly, I feel like that army that's left at the mineral only is kind of staring at each other, kind of like, now what do we do?
That is a dead base at the mineral only. The Archons and Templars are going to try and run away with their life, but Templars are dying. Archons might just straight up die to these links. They're heavily upgraded. The Reavers have not come to fight at all. This 1DT is doing work, but with Overlords coming, it's just a moment. It's just any moment now that this is actually, oh my god, the ketchup gets placed on those Zealots, so those are not long for this world. And Sziky has just reset Bonyth back down to 1 base.
This is almost one of those, it feels like a movie moment with the Corsairs desperately trying to attack the Overlords so the Dark Templar can do its work. Looks like that Dark Templar already taken out. Looks like that Hydralisk trying to work in and, yes, get Reavers and Shuttles again. And I think this is turning into a situation like the previous match, though, where Sziky feels like he's in firm control, but Bonyth is really going to make him work for it.
Yeah, I mean, Cannon Reaver is strong, but when there's just non-stop onslaught of Zerg, I mean, even more red moving across the map, there's the catch-up on the cannon. Bonyth is microing like crazy. It's just, he doesn't have anything behind. He ends up canceling the Nexus.
Oh, that was a huge shift in events. We're seeing a single sitter and shuttle, so I guess I'll settle for that for the moral victory for the fans. But in the meantime, this is the problem for Bonyth, is where you have Nidus Canals on the map, where Sziky can be absolutely everywhere at once, where you've got those Zerglings that have adrenal upgrades that can just sprint out there and be devastating at absolutely any position. Bonyth has to reinforce to any location to take something out there, and right now, he doesn't have a mineral only. I think he's mined out. I don't know that is he even still mining? He's got very little. He does have Reavers in that upper left-hand corner. Okay, so he is mining, it looks like, at that 3 o'clock location, but things are looking dire for Bonyth, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's still like 6 base Zerg versus 1 base Protoss. The Protoss is trying to bust bottom middle, but I saw the catch-up get placed on all those Zealots, and that means that they are basically useless. Now, there's a lot of drones here, but it doesn't even matter to Sziky because he has like 10 hatches. He's just got so much econ, but Bonyth is doing an amazing job to hold on for now, but he just doesn't have the money.
I don't think he has enough money. I like that he's moving in more Psystorm, getting the Archons, trying to utilize gas. Great Psystorms obliterating the rest of this. I think Zeki is happy to trade. This is one of those situations where it's not usually the case, but he's happy, I think, to trade that base to wipe out Bonyth's army and to keep Bonyth on the back foot. Moving in more units, just going to constantly reinforce this. You can see units even flooding in from the upper left. So now that army is there, but yeah, it's trapped in. And what is Bonyth going to do as far as a follow-up? That's one base, and there's still many, many more, I think, still mining for Zeki.
Actually, Zeki, I think, is mined out in his main nat and mid-left base. Yeah,
oh, no, I take it back.
Out. So actually, losing that bottom middle position was a big deal. Look at that Sunken Morph. It's actually going to complete and actually dish out a little bit of damage. But you can see how slowly Bonyth's resources is going up. I mean, it's just non-existent almost. Sunken is going to get taken down, but both of the Archons going to get taken down too. And supplies are just dwindling for Bonyth, but Zeki still only at 110 supply.
Interestingly enough, because that base got taken out, because Zeki got aggressive with that expansion rather than taking 12 o'clock or securing everything in the upper right, he needs to get on that. You can see his bank is small. He's got a huge amount of gas, but a limited amount of minerals to be able to expend it. It looks like a probe somehow snuck up there in the upper right. Honestly, I'd maybe even want to place a pylon there to try to deny it. A big attack coming in from Zeki, but at this stage of things, honestly, even though he's still got that supply lead, I think he should just resecure his economy, get mining again. It looks like he is going to do that at that natural in the upper left-hand corner. I almost want to see him get one more base because I think that would cap the match where Bonyth trying to re-grab that mineral only. Keep in mind, a lot of those minerals were expended at this situation. Bonyth still clinging on, where a moment I thought this was going to just be a closeout. Bonyth, through a series of engagements, is making it a match again.
Yeah, surprisingly, Bonyth is not out of this. If there's like a Reaver drop at the top left and it wipes out the drone line, all of a sudden, Zeke's on one base mining, and Bonyth is going to get his mineral only up and running. Actually, this forces a cancel on the Lurker. Sniping that shuttle, I think, is a bigger deal than Zeke realizes, because that's kind of the lifeline for Bonyth right now. And if it had gone top left and wiped out some drones, for example, we may actually see Bonyth catch up in supply. But for now, it looks like Zeke, he's still on the gas, man. I thought we may see a drone cycle.
This is what I find very interesting about this, is just how effective Bonyth has been with an absolute skeleton crew of an army. Like, if you look what's on the field here, he's engaging these Zerglings. The Archon's trying to engage, the Reaver trying to get damage done. Actually, I need to put more emphasis on this. Still holds somehow against all of those Zerglings. Looks like the Reaver's going to get one last shot off. So there's no free units to attack. A single Zergling manages to sneak up there, but that's allowing reinforcement to go ahead and maintain that mineral-only base. But Bonyth is getting it done with just, what was that? 4 Zealots, an Archon, and a Reaver versus with 2 control groups of Zerglings that were flooding in piecemeal. It's just absolutely astounding.
Well, the Reaver falls, and there's almost no AoE left. There's just 2 Templars and a single Archon. Finally, Zeke has started to mix in some Hydras, but I guess that is enough to push Zeke back for now. But what I'm looking at is the lack of gas from Bonyth. It doesn't even seem like he has, okay, he has 1 non-depleted gas, I guess at mid-right, but he cannot build any of these expensive tech units like the Templar, like the Reaver.
Yeah, so supply, it's 20 up for Zeke. But yeah, okay, now he's grabbing additional expansions. I almost want to see him cap, I don't know, maybe even mid, just secure stuff. He's playing a little bit into Bonyth's game. He's running into these pockets where he's eating a lot of Psystorm. It looks like he's trying, and never mind, it looks like he's got an overwhelming attack force to clear this Nexus out. Bonyth's supply plummeting. There's GG from Bonyth. So despite really, really, really making a match of it, Zeke takes it, and now I think you have the same concern I do, which we're going into Aztec, which on paper to me looks like it might be a map that favors Zeke. Zeke might do it.
I think Zeke might do it too, and like he's won in just 2 straight up macro games. I mean, there wasn't anything super weird that happened that gave him a big lead. In fact, he was supply blocked at 35. Remember, in the beginning, he could have just outright won the game with like 5 mutas going into the natural. So Zeke, he's looking phenomenal right now, and Bonyth is in a position that he's not familiar with. He's the one that's actually down 2-1 in a best-of-5 series.
In the deficit, yeah, it's very rare. Honestly, so the last time we had a Zerg champion was, True Touch in BSL 7 or 8? It's been years, and a big reason for that was Bonyth, the back-to-back championships for Bonyth. And so now Bonyth, and I think you said it last week, the B in BSL stands for Bonyth. It's just crazy to see him in a situation where he's actually down in a series. It's so rare to see even.
Yeah, it's like just doesn't happen, especially versus Terra. Bonyth had like a 100% win rate until he ended up facing Terra last season. And yeah, I had to confirm the map. It is going to be Aztec, and as I stated, I think that this was make or break for Bonyth. So now he's going to have to pull out something special. And you wanted the Sarah Reaver, but whenever I see Bonyth, I always want to see like the proxy 2 gate or the one base 2 gate or the one base Reaver play, you know? And he's the guy that always likes to show that out. He hasn't shown it yet in this series. So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Sziky here, do I expect him to go for some type of weird play on Aztec? And I think I'm going to go with, I think we may see a one base play this time.
I actually really like that. I agree with you. Actually, I would love to see, in particular, some sort of 2-gate play to get aggressive zealots in Sziky's face and try to win the match from there. Otherwise, and I think that plays very well given the inverted ramp nature of Aztec. And if you lose control of that natural expansion, it's absolutely devastating. You need map control on Aztec to win it. That's just, I think, de facto what happens on that map. My concern is if Bonyth does not open up with some sort of extremely aggressive play, and if he just tries to do the sit back, play 2-base play, he's just going to be playing right into Sziky's hands.
Yeah, so if I was Sziky here, I think I might do that 9-hatch overpool build, because that seemed like it could be a good opener versus double gate or some type of one base play. Of course, this is all speculation for now, but I'm really hoping we get to see one base. However, you have to think like, okay, do I want to risk my tournament life on a build like this? I mean, you have advantage because for sure Sziky doesn't get much practice versus this type of style, but I don't know if a lot of players will risk going for some type of... In general, I would say this is like a Hail Mary play, but because Bonyth plays it so often, maybe it's not. But I don't know. It's hard. Even though I want to see it, it's hard to call whether I think it will actually happen.
Yeah, it's I don't know. We'll have to see. If we do, I almost feel like there that should be the channel point bet. It's like, are we going to see that out of Bonyth or not? But yeah, it's unusual to see. I do feel like we saw a spark in Bonyth where it seemed like that mid-game macro really picked up, really looked amazing out of Bonyth. And I do want to point out that there were multiple situations before that mid-game where it looked like Sziky was just going to straight up run away with the match, with especially getting the Zerglings inside Bonyth's base. So as far as a turnaround situation, and I guess this is the other thing Bonyth really needs to think about, is if he is going to, and this is where I'm hoping, again, he opens up with aggression, because in the matches here, Sziky has managed to get Zerglings into his base and just really, really, really cause a lot of harassment and put him on the back foot.
Yeah, these couple wings have done a lot of damage every single time, as you mentioned. And there we go, guys. Seeing this screen means we are ready. Let's get into Game 4. This is Bonyth's tournament life. So definitely cheer for him if you want to see him continue into a Game 5. So in the bottom left, one game from being eliminated, it is Bonyth.
And in the 12 o'clock location, we have Sziky as the red Zerg.
Oh my gosh, Sziky gets a first scout off, so this is everything going to be going in his favor. Now I wonder if Bonyth, well, I'm sure Bonyth will do that like half scout, right? Like you scout to like probably top middle to see if the Overlord is there, and then he'll probably get a first scout off. But openers, I want to see that 9-hatch play. What do you want to see as openers for Sziky?
I want to see either 9-hatch or potentially 9-pool, that being that it is a 3-player map, it's not a 4-player map. With that Overlord Scout, you're gonna eliminate. It's kind of like it's kind of that box game where it's like you lift the cup, it's not there, it's at the other location. So I think there are opportunities to be aggressive here. I think Sziky definitely. I can't imagine a world where Sziky does not opt to somehow be aggressive in this early game. So I think it's going to be up to Bonyth to be the more aggressive player. He is opening up with Gateway. I think he's maneuvering to go ahead and get that first scout. I think he is going to see that Overlord and be able to get into Sziky's base.
Yep, and this was an overpool, so a pretty normal opener from Sziky. And again, it is just the typical forward gate from Bonyth. Again, another 9 gate. Oh my gosh, the drone.
The drone doing its dance, and it looks like it's going to go ahead and try to blockade Bonyth out, doing a good job. And actually, the probe again taking a decent amount of damage before backing out. Now, keep in mind, it hasn't taken any base damage yet, but Bonyth really likes keeping that probe alive, especially with his 1-gate openers, to have that 1-2 combo punch of the probe zap and the zealot pressure. And it looks like he's still trying to press in. Gets in.
How did that get in? How did that get in? And I was so worried that Bonyth may actually just lose his probe outright because of how much damage it took on the ramp, but somehow he gets in, confirms that this was an overpull opener, and behind this, I'm wondering how many zealots we're going to see before that nexus goes down. The probe had already moved in position, so I don't know what... I guess it was moving there to build a forge in case he saw something weird, but he has backed off for now.
So we see just the 2 Zerglings. Sometimes Sziky will, he'll have trouble getting that early probe scout denied. It looks like he's escorting that probe back. I think that probe's just making its way back to join the zealot. I think zealot production has been paused by Bonyth. Looks like he's going to go ahead and drop that nexus. So we're going to see 2 zealots, that probe backing out, trying to deny that 3rd base. So it looks like Sziky is trying to get in a position to do some sort of 973-ish thing. But the zealots, going ahead and backing out, going to have to protect that front door because there is potential with that opener from Sziky and I think Bonyth maybe has Sziky in his head with those Zerglings out in the field. He's worried about that. He's being extra careful to make sure those Zerglings don't get into his main again.
Well, there's only 1 zealot to defend this time, and last time there were 2 defending that gateway. Okay, now the second one pops out. This time around, Sziky not feeling confident enough to engage these zealots. So for now, good defense from Bonyth. The probe is still alive, but it's all the way across the map, so again, it has no idea exactly what's going on in Ziki's main. Sziky has started to mine gas. We haven't confirmed whether it's going to be Lair or Hydroden just yet.
This is actually critical. That probe scout's still alive. It hasn't confirmed that 3rd base as of yet. It's still hunting around. It looks like Sziky pocketed at the 3 o'clock location rather than taking the more typical base at that 2 o'clock location. The probe scouting that 2 o'clock location. So I'm not sure that Bonyth, I assume his game sense is, I'm just going to give, a cybernetics core on the front once again, rather than the forge on the front. I actually like that decision if he is going up against 973 to allow the forge, if he grabs it in a second here, to allow that weapons ones to finish regardless, so he doesn't end up losing that. But going up, he's going to see that lair morphing, and it looks like we are opening up into 3-hatch muta from Sziky.
Yep, this is going to be another Spire opener from Sziky. Probe confirms the lair, so he knows exactly what he's facing. Forge in the main, like you stated, so that's not going to be picked off. And the cybernetics was 10 seconds faster, I think, compared to the wavelet game. So this time around, Sayer might actually get some kills. So Sziky needs to be careful because we've seen him get supply blocked in the early stages of almost every game so far. Probe going to come to mid-right and confirm this base. Nicely done.
And critically also confirming the amount of drones at that location. So knowing, and now the question is Sziky going to dedicate early Mutalisk Harass, or is he going to fold back into that 4-base play? I think you're right with the Sarah timing. We'll have to see. I might be off on this, but even with that initial Scourge being built, I don't know that it's going to be able to deny at least an Overlord kill to Bonyth.
Speed kicks in, and that means that probe is not long for this world. Sarah is just now starting. Meanwhile, Spire, I think was, 150 out of 600, so it's going to be a while for that to complete. But I'm trying to see, is there any Overlords other than the bottom middle one, or bottom left one, isolated that I think Bonyth could pick off? And the answer is no, really. So maybe the Sarah won't deal as much damage as I was anticipating. Back in the main of Bonyth, did you see a Citadel? I didn't see.
I didn't see a Citadel. It looked like he was... nope, yeah, we do have a Citadel, and this is kind of what he likes to play, is grab the 2 gateways behind the Citadel. I think this might be another... We'll see how it goes, but I think this might be another +1, 7-minute 40 +1 attack that he wanted to secure. A lot of Zealots guarding that front door, and it looks like he's continuing to produce Zealots. In the meantime, it looks like that Corsair is going to be able to wander up, get the scouting information. It's going to see, we're moving back to that 4-hatch play. Now, the critical mid-game piece of this is are we going to see the Hydra extend? How many Hydras are going to be produced? This is what I like about this on Ziki's end, is it gives him a large degree of flexibility. The hard part, though, is you're going up against Bonyth, and Bonyth can do absolutely anything. The one advantage is Bonyth likes, I think, maps where there's just more area, where there's darkness, where the Zealots can be absolutely anywhere. On this map, it feels like there's just a little bit less room to do that.
Well, we've got the macro hatches coming up for Sziky. We have 5 hatch production so far. You can see he's ramping up the drone production too. And for now, just a handful of lings for defense. Sunken coming up, anticipating that 730 move out that you were talking about. Looking at Sziky's gas, he's got about 500, so it's possible we may see some type of muta play, but already 3 Corsairs have been built. I'm sure Bonyth is building a couple more.
I like Sziky's decision to grab that 3 o'clock base. He's already planting Sunkens there because he knows he's got that ramp to work with. It's going to be more challenging to press into that base, and it looks like he's going to lap back the 5 hatch Hydralisk. This is something that I have not seen Sziky do quite often, which is to move back to the 5 hatch Hydralisk and try to play more of a macro absorption style rather than having a lot of units out on the field at this stage of the match to engage with Bonyth. And so I'm almost wondering if this is something he specialized specifically to engage Bonyth's style of play, mostly just because in the previous matches I've seen, I haven't seen this explicit play out of him. Right now he's significantly behind in supply, but he is in a situation between his SimCity, between the units that he might be able to field rapidly, where he should be able to deal with this attack fairly easily.
Well, here come those Zealots, and I saw a DT trailing behind, but there's going to be no opener at mid-right. Zealots are going to have to tuck tail and try and find an opening elsewhere because there's no way he's getting up this ramp.
And that just, delays time where you can be and actually this was even without +1, and actually a massive amount of Scourge. So I'm wondering if Sziky thought there might be 2 double Stargate behind this, but he's absolutely denying. And now we're, Mutalisk squished behind this. So I take it back. So Scourge first, and actually engaging some Mutalisks. Did Bonyth build preventative cannons at his main and at his natural? I'm not sure that he did. That is one bit. So we got 1 at the main, no at the natural expansion. And this is one of those situations where, and this is the advantage of having that Spire Hydralisk Den combo, is with sufficient Mutalisks, you can get backstabs, you can knock down the Corsair count, you can wipe out some of that anti-air and potentially get some damage done.
Yeah, but it looks like Bonyth was anticipating this because he has 8 Corsairs already, and that's +1 weapon might already be done for them too. So this may have been a big mistake from Sziky to build these Mutalisks, because Bonyth read him like a book. There's the 6th hatch, a lot of drones for Sziky, so I mean he's still gonna have a follow-up after this, but I don't think he's gonna have success with this at all. I mean, it's approaching almost 10 Sayers at this point.
He has 10 Sayers. There is +1 weapons. He does have that +1 armor. Those cannons are going to make it really difficult because that is a lot of cannons underneath. Sziky engaging this. It looks like he is able to box out those Corsairs with the Scourge, one of them going down, and it looks like the cannon's being worked on by the Mutalisks in the meantime. As far as a follow-up, it looks like Ziky's just going to go ahead and back out. More Corsairs being built on top, but yeah, it looks like defended thus far, only 2 cannons as far as damage done. And I don't know, I feel like it almost feels like a wash right there. So 2 cannons, 300 minerals lost, a couple Scourge lost in Pocket of Gas, but no massive damage done really on either side.
Yeah, seems like a decent trade for both, but again, I'm looking at gateway count for Bonyth. He's still sitting at just 5 DT, annoyingly takes down the drone trying to build a 4th base. Evolution Chamber in the main, so +1. I imagine it's going to be done for Sziky pretty soon if it isn't done already. Yeah, it's going to be completed pretty soon.
That DT is actually bigger than it sounds because it's going to take a long time for an Overlord to get to that position to go ahead and clear it out to grab an additional base. In the meantime, Bonyth going ahead and grabbing his 3rd. And so it's going to be 3. So Bonyth going to get a little bit of an economic leap here. And this is turning into an economic race right here. You got 6 hatch Zerg going up against what's soon to be 3 base Protoss. And yeah, I think this is just going to be a macro sprint from this edge on. You can see a bunch of gateways being dropped for Bonyth.
This is going to put him at 8 gateways. DT is going to get cleaned up, I think. Yeah, the mutas are going to confirm that they kill this DT. Now, S-Tech, even though we were talking about this being a pretty good Zerg map, if you can get to mid-late game, if you can get the 4th base at top left, I mean, it's high ground at 4th base, high ground at 3rd base, high ground at your natural. It's hard for Zerg to engage. And, oh, the Sayers, they're so far forward, but the Scourge. Okay, they actually connected decently. Wipes down the Sayers to just 4 now.
And the Mutalisks are still overhead. It looks like the Hydralisks engaging as well. A lot of Zealots moving into that 9 o'clock. But this is walking to the Sim City. 1 Overlord looks like it's going to get picked off. Let's see if that 2nd Overlord was going to be able to make its way back. Still no Overlord speed at this stage of the match. They're just now kicking in. Great Sidestorm on the high ground. catching a lot of those Hydralisks, and it looks like Bonyth is going to reposition to go ahead and continue to deny this fourth expansion. This is going to be critical. Huge Psystorm from the low ground. The Corsairs still engaging those Mutalisks. More reinforcements coming from the north. The Zealots kind of crossing both locations, but while this is all happening, more reinforcements are moving in. Looks like Sziky, I think, is going to be able to clear this, and that base is going to get established.
Yeah, he is going to save this base. Nice Lurker Morph there. Good trades to kill all of the Stairs. Also good trade for the Stairs to kill all the Mutalisks. So again, it looks like it's gonna, I was gonna say it's gonna be a wash, but then I look at the supply, Sziky's up in supply. So this was obviously a favorable trade for Sziky right there. Now he's gonna have 4 base production. He's already building drones, so you know he's gonna saturate that extremely fast, especially since he's on 7 hatches now. And if that's a Queen's Nest, we may see again Sziky just starting to run away with it.
Sziky has a lot of options on his plate. He can go ahead and pressure that third base. He can go ahead and maybe potentially get some sort of soft contain rolling. He can go ahead and just push his economy one way or the other. It looks like he's wandering up and going to be able to get some damage done there. On Bonyth's side, I like what he's doing. He's going to go ahead and push up and engage this. I feel like this is the moment where if Bonyth can get something accomplished here, if he can hold on, if he can get his ball rolling, if he can get the Psystorms and land them effectively and make sure that Sziky just doesn't get out of control in any one vector, if he can kind of hold on to that balloon before it just starts growing out of, or I guess balloon's not a good metaphor. What's something that just grows at a constant rate? You just need to constantly keep your hands on and keep it from exploding, basically. But Bonyth looks like he's got a lot of Dragoons to engage this attack force. Still has those 2 Corsair. Keep in mind that they have that +1 weapons. Expending a Storm on a Lurker, missing a lot of those Hydralisks overhead. But yeah, just defending this and backing off. And you can see it looks like Sziky's opting to kind of macro up and again, nice Storms. Looks like he's going for that soft contain style.
Yep, and there is the Queen's Nest double evolution chamber. So Hive is going to be coming pretty soon, and another macro hatch. So this puts Sziky at like 8 hatch production, and this is just so hard to bust out of. It's Hydras with Lurker support, and the Zealots and Dragoons, are they able to bust through? Looks like the answer might be yes, but Sziky reinforcing from the bottom side. Now there's no Zealots left over, just Goons. It doesn't seem like there's any Storms left over, and he picks off a Templar, and Sziky is going to push back this 4th base again.
Yeah, and Sziky happy. And here's the thing, even with, so it's almost a bonus to have this hold. As long as Sziky keeps an army and keeps macroing up and keeps the evolution, keeps all of that going in the background and keeps macroing behind this, I think he's a happy camper. If he can manage to keep that contain on top of it, it's kind of the icing on the cake. Bonyth rocketing ahead in supply. He's at 3 bases. And I think he knows he needs to get a large grouping of troops. He's adding even more gateways to either bust out of this contain, and it's going to come down to favorable exchange situations. Do the Storms land? Do the Dragoons get nice engagements on top? And I think Bonyth, needs to keep pressing down, picking at this so that Sziky isn't able to get nice Lurker spreads and just set up before he's ready doing it. Basically, if Bonyth presses into this before Sziky's ready, it's all the better, in my opinion. And I like that he's just kind of peeking forward with the Corsairs. Somehow Zealots get out in the middle of the field. Let's see if they can get some damage done. But I like play from actually both these guys at this stage. A whiff of a Psystorm there. And is that High Templar going to get picked off by those Zerglings? Looks like not. But it's kind of one of those situations where I think both players are just happy to let this continue at this stage of the match.
I like this Zealot move out from Bonyth. He knows that Sziky loves to hide bases, but this time around, there is no hidden base. And that means that Sziky's going to feel confident that, okay, well, half of your army's over at bottom right. I know you can definitely not bust out now. Zealots are going to try and, I guess, go to that 4th base, but there's going to just be too many Hydras there.
Wow, so the Hydralisks engaging, there's more Zealots moving in. It looks like now they're going to back off. That's one thing I love about Bonyth is when he sees a lost situation, he doesn't overcommit the troops and just let them get wiped out. I think that's actually a good thing to do against Sziky in particular, because Sziky looks for those troop donations, trying to get a Psystorm, hits a lot of those Hydralisks, but I missed the High Templar dying in the midst of it? I think the High Templar got picked off. Okay, it got wiped out in the midst of it, so kind of a pick-off back and forth. But Bonyth continuing, so supply even. It looks like level 1 weapons, level 1 armor, upgrades in the background. I'm looking for Bonyth to get, it looks like he's going to reposition to the south. I'm looking for him to get a sizable engage. We got another shuttle out there. Looks like he's going to go ahead and take that interior 9 o'clock location. And Sziky pressing behind this, eating a big Psystorm, but those cannons are very exposed.
Yeah, but Sziky, he's got to be careful. He's let all the units get onto the low ground, and it's hard to reposition all these Lurkers. But Hive is already done. Those key upgrades going to be kicking in pretty soon. It's something like 10 hatch for Zerg right now. No Ling upgrades, but we're going to have another big fight. And now Sziky has realized, hey, you took the low ground. It's hard for you to get down here. So he's going to take this fight. There's not any storms left over. There was just one. Supplies are heavily in favor of Bonyth right now. It's 170 to 150. Well, actually not in favor of him much longer. But with the cannons coming up, I think Bonyth is going to hold this base.
So Bonyth continuing to engage. It looks like there's plenty of Dragoons to engage as more Zerglings flooding in, and the Zerglings getting on top of their observer there to go ahead and drop sides from. So it looks like Bonyth is going to hold this. Supply count still remaining just about even, but if you look at the bank, Bonyth has a big amount of money to dedicate to a macro cycle. I think he's going to hold this. More reinforcements coming up for Sziky. Sziky really wants to wipe this army out at the very least and potentially deny this. He's continuing to press forward, even pushing overlords to absorb some fire. More zealots coming in from the high ground to engage this. And I think, are there High Templar in that shuttle? I think they're potentially for, yeah, it looks like High Templar. Bonyth using that shuttle micro to keep them protected, which I think is a brilliant play.
Yeah, the shuttle clutched that, and here comes Sziky again. Those Templars should have Storm available. And I got to point this out. Bottom right, I think that's a Nexus. Bonyth is the one hiding a base while all of this is going on, but he may just lose his third base, man. Lurkers setting up. Are they in range of those probes? No, they're not, just barely. But Lurkers under this ramp means that they're just going to absolutely melt these Zealots as they come down.
Oh, yeah, the angle looks like it's going to melt the Zealots. This is going to be close either direction. The Lurkers continuing to pound at that Nexus. The probes actually still mining, so they're not getting wiped out. Reinforcements cutting off things to the north, but more units flooding in from Sziky. This is a huge swarm of Zerglings and Lurkers pressing in. He's got a huge supply lead. It looks like he is going to be able to wipe this base out.
Yeah, I thought that Bonyth is going to hold this base, and I just see this gigantic red wave moving in. And Sziky, he is moments away from eliminating one of our best players in the BSL, of 4 or 5 time champion Bonyth. He has just so many units. A Templar falls, supplies has plummeted. It's 130 to 103. Look at the natural, not mining basically. Main, not mining. Third base, if Lurkers get here and get on top of the probes, oh my God, I think this is it, Diggity.
I think this is it. I think Ziky's done it, and wow, I feel smart actually calling it at the beginning. Yeah, this Lurker is obliterating that probe line. And oh yeah, reinforcements coming across. I don't see an observer there either. There's, yeah, some zealots out in the field to deny something, but yeah, Bonyth mining out. There's a group of probes. That is it. I think Ziky's done it.
I think it's over. There's no Bonyth isn't mining. He's on one patch and it has 20 resources. I mean, even if he had Hero Reavers need Scarabs, and he just doesn't have anything. Sziky, he's done it. He's gonna eliminate our champion here in the round of 8.
Wow, is he going to be the first Zerg champion since, I think, BSL7? Arguably, most people, when you say, who's the top foreigner, like 9 times out of 10, people are going to say Bonyth. And Sziky right here, coming in and winning in convincing fashion, in my opinion, across these matches. And continuing to flood this. Bonyth is no longer mining. Just probes sitting there idle at the natural expansion. This is incredible.
Oh, we are just waiting for the GG, guys. This is not a moment you see very often. Sziky, he's going to take down Bonyth 3-1 in our best of 5 round of 8 series. Immaculate play from him. I thought that Bonyth was going to be able to bust that contain, but he just never had enough. And the macro is ridiculous, man. 10 hatch production, there it is, GG. And Sziky, he's going to be our first moving on into the round of 4.
Round of 4 Sziky, I am happy to see it. Congratulations to him, and I just feel super smug right now. calling it from the beginning. Here's the thing, Bonyth, he's an amazing player. Like, clearly, even now, I don't think that people can go like, oh, he's not the best foreigner in the community. It's just, he's incredible, and he's going to be back in future BSLs. But I got to give this moment to Sziky. Pull it out, well prepared. I like that he went into that 4-hatch Spire kind of pullback play, the come at me bro style Zerg. And I think that really suited him against Bonyth. I'm really excited that he went into great play all the way. This is the series when I was talking about Christmas, this was the series that I'm like, this is going to be Christmas right here. Like this next one, it's like the surprise gift where I don't know what it is. It's like the one that doesn't have the label, might be from Santa, who knows. But this series, I'm like, I know this is going to be good. And I just think it was a great series between these two guys.
Yeah, this series really delivered. And Sziky, of course, is going to be feeling fantastic not just making it into the round of 4, but eliminating obviously the favorite for the whole tournament. You kind of feel like your runway is, well, of course it's not clear, but if I took down Bonyth, I'd be feeling like, okay, I can't be touched now, right? And actually I was thinking just now, we don't have any BSL champions left in the round of 8.
Wow.
Terror's gone. Eon Zerg didn't even play. True Touch not even here. Bonyth is gone. So again, we're gonna have a new champion this time around. It's so exciting to have new champs not every single season, but it's gonna be back-to-back seasons because Terror was a new champion last season.
Yeah, it's amazing to see. It just, it gives the warm tinglies. I don't know who to favor from this stage on. I'm glad to see. I think actually it almost feels this way with Chao and Mihu in the opposite side of the bracket. I'm almost wondering if the champion comes out of that side. From this stage, my heart, I want to see Gypsy or Hawk win it just because of North American pride. But my brain is saying that Mihu is now the guy to beat. Sziky, and the other guy to beat was Bonyth. So Sziky did it there. But and I'm also curious to see in this matches, I was kind of discussing this with Mayoka off screen, is it's a bit of a black box here. Have these guys played against each other? Do they know each other's play style? I think it's going to be an interesting match to see, and it's great. It's just amazing to have these Chinese players now involved in BSL.
Yeah, Chinese players obviously have a lot of talent. They've been playing versus Bonyth and DeWalt in a couple show matches, and those series were extremely close. And as you mentioned, this is a black box for us because we don't get a lot of experience watching these types of players. This is their first time in the BSL. So I'm looking forward to our next series,